You guys, you are crazy.
But you looked good. Let them post. Come on.
Me, I had surgery before I even came to TikTok, bwana.
Even it takes time before you lose that weight. Sindio?
Yeah, it does take time. You know, it's been almost how many? I had my surgery in 2023 February. Na nikakuja TikTok Mei. Saa sijui kwa nini mtu anasema ati TikTok nimefanya nilienda surgery, guys. Come on.
Yeah, Diana, nikushtue. Usishangae wakisema usishangae wakianza another narrative, ni zile simba mbili ulipewa. Chekesha.
Ai. Simba mbili inaweza kuni bolingo that you are shocked.
You know how people think.
I do look good. I feel good though. I feel good. I do. And I love it. KM, which procedure was it? Was it painful? Yes, it was painful. I had a surgery for weight loss called duodenal switch. Yep.
Yeah, ebu waambie because I saw them asking you on questions huko. Hey, Victor saa
hiyo tutaongea tukimaliza. Hebu leta story ya barua wewe.
Victor anataka kupanda.
Okay, but you look very good, Diana, by the way. I have to say that.
Oh, thank you, Twinkle. Thank you.
You look very, very good. Mpaka nikasema wow. Anyway.
Wacha tusikie Victor venye anasema kwa sababu sasa topic hata tuongele. Huyu ni pastor mwenye alihubiri kwa mazishi ya Chira. Ile candle lighting. Hi Pastor Victor.
Hello, how are you?
Good.
Mimi nimeona live nikasema niwasalimie. I have nothing much.
Umefanya vizuri. Tumesalimika hapa tu ni udanye.
I know. Najua hiyo ndio. Hiyo ndio order. But Diana Rosa, it is well, ma'am, and people will always be people. People will always talk things they don't know, things they know. So basically, keep hearts and keep up, and yeah, you're a good mom. You're a good mom. So keep up doing what you're doing. You're one of the few people in TikTok who are, showing the motherly love that is needed. Sometimes tough, but good. Yeah. So sina mambo mingi.
Haya, asante sana Pastor Victor.
Haya, let me drop.
Haya,
mfanye mambo mengine. Sawa.
Haya, asante. Beirut, unatafuta umbenye? Kaa hapo kwa kutulia. Tap tapuru. Haya, twende kwa barua. Kai. Ngoja kwanza tusikie hii. Hii ni ya 4 hours ago. Hebu goja hiyo ya bullying tutasikia baadaye. Kwani hiyo letter imeenda wapi? Na nilikuwa nimesave hiyo nini? Hiyo video yake akiongea mambo ya hiyo barua ya huyu mtu. We guys, aliaddress nini leo ndio aliaddress mambo ya nini, right guys?
Nilijua tu Black Panther ataniattack. Huyu Black Panther, yawa, acha ni mute.
Kwanza huyu Black Panther nimekuwa nikimtafuta sana. Thank you kwa kujileta hapa.
Okay, nakuanga toxic.
Blocked forever.
Kwani unakuanga toxic hivyo?
Nimekuwa nikimtafuta sana. Thank you for bringing your nyash. Haenda ukaniongelelea vibaya kwenye unaongeanga. Urudi na sudo, you tame your fingers. Mtu anakuongelelea vibaya kwingine, anajileta kwako kwanza kuzidisha anakufollow. Guys, don't talk shit about someone and yet you follow that person. I even appreciate mtu ananiongelelea na hajani follow. Anakuja anasikiza live ametulia hata type. Lakini unampata kwingine anakuongelelea, sasa hapo ndio napata chance ya kufinyia. Guys, kuweni serious. You can't be sniffing around someone and yet you claim you talk trash about the person. Don't be two-faced. Unanchukia, I appreciate that. Songa mbele, wacha kukaa comfortable mpaka unaingia nyumba yangu, mpaka unakuwa comfortable unaanza kutype huko. Oh Lord Jesus Christ, people with their strange personalities. Lordy Lord.
Kwanza nishavaa free dress ya udaku. Hey! Chatu nikae hapa. Beirut. Siku hizi uko mingi all over kwa street. What's happening?
Love you too, princess.
Beirut, siku hizi nakuona uko a lot.
Not this one. Oh my God. Grace of God, kwani umedelete hiyo kitu? Hiyo video yenye ulikuwa umeweka ya speech ya Leta. And yours I saw ndio ilikuwa long. Ya 6
I was going through that Grace of God, her blogs. I think she's very good.
Yeah, I loved what she's
Yeah.
posting.
She's good. Like, okay, she's not violent, she's not vile.
Yeah, and
She's
she's
just putting
writing
out the
very...
information. Unajua, yani
Yeah.
hana yani ile intention ya kuham.
Yeah,
na nani?
caption
na
zake ni
TikTok.
very
TikTok data collector siku hizi pia ameanza kukua nini? Toxic.
Hapana, data collection na venye nampenda. Ameanza kuwa
Hata mi
hapana.
nampendanga. Yani nilimuona na caption nyingine hapo nikashangaa, but anyway. Blogging is blogging.
Imepotea. Haya, wacha niende nikatumia kwingine. I was hoping to use Grace of God recording, but ni kama imenipotea. Wacha nione kama ilikuwa kwa nani? Sorry, haikuwa kwa Grace of God, ilikuwa kwa Rising Star. Yeah.
So dancer Nomari associated me. He has asked me to make it public. So dancer Nomari Associates Advocates writes to Safaricom today, demand for unauthorized disclosure of personal data to unauthorized persons. He has asked me to read this publicly or post it publicly, but I have decided to read it publicly because he has gone to the media and he has already exposed Safaricom on what is going on. I will post the link somehow so that you can go and get the information what he has done so far. So the letter reads, we act for Rosaline Otieno, who goes as Nyako on TikTok, herein referred to as our client, under whose instructions we address you as follows. On or about the 13th of February 2024, you disseminated or facilitated the dissemination of her confidential information to unauthorized individuals without due authorization or consent. Our client's M-Pesa statements containing her personal details and financial transaction history, a data set exclusively maintained by your organization, were released to unauthorized persons and have been circulating on various social media platforms. Our client is a renowned content creator of international acclaim, commands significant recognition, and embodies a global brand. Her standing in the industry places her in direct competition with entities of her personal and financial information. No, I read that wrongly. Industry places in direct, consequent. The unauthorized disclosure of her personal and financial information to the public, particularly to unauthorized individuals, not only compromises her publicly privacy rights, but also undermines her standing as a reputable brand and exposes her to financial risks. This has also inflicted emotional distress and anxiety upon our client. As custodian of his sensitive data, your organization has the responsibility to safeguard it against unauthorized disclosure and misuse. This is therefore a flagrant violation of our client's right to privacy and constitutes a significant breach of data protection laws in Kenya as follows. Ich bin niemand, Dankeschön. Number one, unnecessary reveal of information relating to our client's private affairs, contravening Article 31 of the Constitution of Kenya. Number two, unauthorized disclosure of personal data and granting access to unauthorized persons, which constitutes a clear personal data breach as defined in Section 2 of the Data Protection Act. Number three, failure to take measures to ensure that our client's personal data is and or was processed in accordance to the principles of data protection in Section 25 of Data Protection Act. Number four, unlawful processing of personal data infringing Section 30 of the Data Protection Act. Therefore, on behalf of our client, we demand, number one, that there be an immediate explanation for the unauthorized dissemination of our client's confidential information. Ninahang. Number two, that you admit liability for breaching our client's right to privacy, which thereafter we shall we shall quantify damages. Take notice that failure to comply with the above demands within 7 days, the date hereafter, we have firm and irrevocable instructions to institute a lawsuit against Safaricom. Thank you. My lawyer is Dunstan Omari and Associates Advocates in Kenya. Thank you very much. So, Dunstan Omari has released this information to the press. That is why I am reading it. It is already in the media. It is something that will go viral and it will go international against Safaricom as a company. So if you know you were involved in leaking my data and reading it anyhow, Safaricom is a multi-billion company that is going to deal with people here one by one. One by one. Meanwhile, I'm going to post the link where the news, where Dunstan Omari released this copy to the media of Kenya. Otherwise, I wish you guys well. I am sick. Niko na homa. Sina nini. I don't have strength ya kuka online. Nitakuja jioni if I feel better. Meanwhile, mujienjoy and let's move on. I am suing Safaricom big time. Thank you. Kwaherini. He has asked.
Haya, wenye mmedana nyinyi na Twinkle ndio mmesoma. Jaluo, karibu. First wacha tunisikie. Jaluo, hi. Hi Miss Nyaluo. Nimekutumia mic. Fungua ama ametuma by mistake. It was today. Ilikuwa leo Bryce. Nyaluo, to receive your mic ndio hao wengine waweze kuongea. Okay. Nisaidie kutap hapo chini. Twinkle na Diana, the floor is yours.
Now, I would say, Atikuni spare Dima coffee from us for this advice. Guys, first of all, I will tell you guys, I am very, very, very happy that Nyako is taking Safaricom to court. Because you guys, let us learn to be people who stand for the truth no matter what, no matter how our feelings are, no matter how someone might make you uncomfortable. Let us always maintain our truth. What is true, and it will never change. And I tell people these things every day. Even if you hate someone, even if you don't like someone, what is true, what is wrong. Let us be people who can call out wrong, tafadhali. Tukweni watu wazuri. It's so important. When something is wrong. What happened to Nyako and the statements is wrong, and it is a data breach. The law protects us from such incidences, and I am so happy that she has finally decided to show that she can actually even work with a good lawyer to take this case to court, because I really wanted her to take Nani to court. I really wanted her to take Safaricom to court, because Safaricom is responsible. And now the petition is being talked about everywhere, you guys. I love it. And it's going to force Safaricom to make a public statement about this data breach. That was the whole purpose of the petition, guys. Now, petitions are petitions. They are not in court yet. And I think it was so important for people to understand the power of this petition. But unfortunately, this is TikTok, and people will always act in terms of teams. Mnaelewa? Na hiyo ndo inaharibu a lot of things. So maybe what we should talk about is this lawyer, Danston Omari. Let us talk about the lawyer a little bit and his history, because that is so important for this case. I need you guys to remember that Safaricom is... Oh, first of all, KUNILISCIOUS, wacha ni address msichana. Lillian Christine, you are one of the most violent, vile, uncultured, uncouth women I have ever met on TikTok. I said, and I found your comment somewhere, addressing another woman and calling her very, very bad names. Huyu mwanamke anajiita Lillian Christine. She is the most, yani, nimewahi kuona comments za watu zenye ziko violent, lakini this Lillian, huyu mwanamke ni kama mchawi. Sijui kama ni mchawi ama ni nini. Yani ile maneno alizungumza kuhusu mwanamke mwenzake kwa hiyo comment. Hey! Yawa, utafikiria ni like a demon from somewhere. How do you talk like that about another woman? Wewe Lillian Christine, where do you come from? Do you think unafikiria one day you will not need women hapa kwa TikTok? Do you think you think you will never need women here? Unajiona ya kwamba ati huwezi ukahitaji mwanamke yoyote kwa hii platform? Unajiona huwezi, you can never ever want anybody's love or anybody's support kwa hii platform? You think you can exist on your own, eh? That is why you go derogating women and saying such things that you said about that woman. You should be ashamed of yourself. You are a vile human being. Mi kwanza nilikuwa nasema na ngoja nikuone ndio nikuambie. You are so disgusting. Yani sijui hata nikudescribe aje. I don't even know where you came. I don't know. Are you okay? Where did you come from? Ulitoka wapi wewe? Nani alikulea wewe? Umelelewa na nani? Mwanamke ako na chuki na roho chafu. Unasema maneno machafu kuhusu mwanamke mwenzako, yani sijui. Should be ashamed of yourself. Ukienda pale kwa FYP, you see the way this woman is writing about any woman, just yani utashangaa. Hebu check yourself. Nimemwona nikasikia ni kama damu yangu imesimama kidogo, because nimekuwa nikiona vitu zenye anasema. One day you will need those women. Unaona hao wanawake wenye unawatusi? Na nimewaambia hapa you guys. No matter how much we have differences on this app, no matter how many times tunachukiana kwa hii app, there is nothing that is as powerful as women coming together. Wacha tu niwaambie, in as much as you might say all the things you want to say here today, the world is so much against us as women that honestly you cannot afford to operate with the kind of spite yenye huyu Lilian anaoperate nayo. Chukia tu wanawake hapa Lilian, na ukikufa kesho ni sisi tu wanawake ndo tutakuwa hapa tukichangishia hata hiyo familia yako. Chukia tu, ezidi kuandika vile unaandika pale ukitamania wanawake wenzako waingie kwa majeneza. It is these same women that you have so much hate for are the same women that will always protect and stand in your shoulders. So think about the things that you write on these platforms and the way you comment and the things that you say. There is a difference between having disagreements with people na kukosana na watu na kubi outrightly, yani you are the yani nimeona wanawake wako vile lakini wewe hapana. Nimekubebea mkono my dear. Atingo ni bada nyasa chiel. Lakini aloso kodi gidholuo because najua we ni mjaluo. Au we kodi gidholuo. Chieng piny no ne ni Christine. Chieng piny no ne ni gigik mindika TikTok ka chieng piny no ne ni. To kenda ageno ni okinyuol. Ageno ni okinyuol. Manyithindi ne bede lwet ji. Ageno ni okinyuol. Idhako marach. Anyisi. Aya, tuendelee. Tulikuwa tunaongelelea Danstan Omari. KUNILISCIOUS, ukishamaliza kupika ugali utuambie. Ai. Ametuacha hapa, ameenda kupika ugali. Ametuacha hapa,
Sini wako na mic.
Umeanza kujifanya kama nani TikTok. Anyway, you guys, I was talking about this case ya Nyako na Safaricom. Kwanza nilikuwa naongelelea. You guys go to Google and read about Danstan Omari, because I know some of you will have to read, but some of us who always follow cases in Kenya, we know that Danstan Omari represented Ruto, has represented the Moi family, he has represented Ketepa, he has represented Bidco Oil Company. Sorry, Resilience, I'm sorry. I am counting the companies and the cases this man has handled. Bidco oil refineries, may represent Ruto in cases in Kenya, okay? Alafu pia alikuwa kwa kesi ya mtoto wa nani? Okay, hata alikuwa kwa kesi ya Keroche Breweries pia. Tena akawa kwa kesi ya what's this guy? Sorry, I'm forgetting this guy. Huyu mtoto wa nani? Mwenye alikuwa na shida. Mtoto wa Moi, anaitwaje huyu? What is his name? There was this Moi's son that had a problem.
Gideon nama nani?
Alikuwa na shida na bibi yake about child custody na nini. Mnamkumbuka? Yes, yeah, Philip. So this man, first of all, guys, let me tell you, this is a high profile lawyer. This is a person that has a history of actually winning cases in court against cooperatives. And then msome, because I want you people to read. Niliwaambia tukiendelea na hii kesi na tukiendelea na analyzation, hii analyzation ya kesi ya Nyako na kesi ya Safaricom haitakuwa inahitaji feelings na haitahitaji watu wenye hawafikiri. This is gonna be an analysis yenye inahitaji ubongo moving forward. Hatutakuwa hapa na matusi. So I would beg for the women who want to be part of these conversations to please take your time, go and read. Read about data protection, read about data breach in Kenya, read about Safaricom, read about the Communications Authority in Kenya, because this case is going to have other people who want to be involved in it, okay? There is a Communications Authority in Kenya that will want to be interested in this case. I'm telling you what I'm seeing coming ahead. As this case lands in court, I know there are gonna be partners, people wenye watakuwa wanataka be a part of this. Unajua, as interested parties. Wanaitanga amicus nini? Amicus curiae. Sawa sawa. And I know that the CCK will want to do that. Then there is also the Data Protection Commission. These are people who will want to be enjoined in this matter as a matter of public interest. And that is why the petition that we wrote mentioned those two entities. Munaelewa? So they are going to be friends of the court who want to be part of this. Okay? So the petition and Nyako's case are actually going hand in hand. And I love that. Because at the end of the day, it's so important for us to talk about social justice from a place of knowledge. Tumeelewana? So moving forward, this is going to be a case of public interest. But the only thing I'm wondering, I've heard Nyako say that Danstan Omari has talked to the media. I don't think so, because that is something that he should have had a presser. He should have had a presser, he should have had a press conference, and we should have seen this being discussed. But as the case goes to court, and when it reaches the courts, my dear, you guys are going to see this come out to play. We want this to get as much publicity as possible. We want to make sure that this is about data breach. Sawa sawa. Oh, he did. He's on TV. It was on Kenya News. Beautiful. I love it. I'm loving what is going on. That is what I love. Now, KUNILISCIOUS, up to there, kuna maneno unataka kuniambia? I'm highlighting the things that are good, or things that are happening. Number one, I'm gonna say I'm happy Nyako has taken Safaricom to court. Number two, I'm very happy that she has made a very good choice of a lawyer. Danstan Omari has a history in Kenya. That is beautiful. He's worked with cooperatives and he understands. Now, the third thing, this case is gaining the publicity that it actually deserves to gain. Sawa? So mi nilikuwa naongelesha hapa, lakini kwa sababu mnanichukia lakini huwa mnanichukianga hivi kwa nini? Hebu mniambie hapo kwa comment section. Do unajua ma haters pia wako hapa. Why do you people have so much hate? And everything I said mnaona tu ikikuja tu polepole hapa. Like, what is the problem? Eh? Chuki ni ya nini jamani? Tupendaneni tu. So tunataka kuona sasa what's going to happen ahead. But all I know is that we really need this to have as much publicity as possible. Sawa sawa. Even though vile itakuwa, as much publicity as possible, so that we get to a point where we want to know ni kina nani walikuwa pale Safaricom, ni kina nani walifanya kazi pale Safaricom na wakatoa hizi vitu, ni kina nani. We want to know the truth about that. Sawa. Haya, nina mute. Twinkle anaweza kuongea alafu ndio tuendelee from there.
For me, I think, Diana, you've said it quite well, but I'm really glad to speak to Danstan. He's very good at what he does. What I also love about him is that the press love him because He's sober-minded. He doesn't put feelings into certain things in terms of he's very professional, and the cases that usually he handles gain a lot of traction. So which is also good for us. Some of us who live in Kenya actually don't want our data out there. So anybody who was involved, if I was you, I would start lawyering up, because once investigations continue going on and things like that, Safaricom is not going to let this slide. Because once it is hit MTV, that means Citizen is going to pick it up. So believe you me, it's going to get a lot of momentum. So
Yeah.
I'm glad this is happening,
Mm-hmm.
and it's good for some of us, because honestly, it's very worrying to imagine that our information can go out there and it's fine. And people think it's okay and think it's content. It's not content. It's actually
Mm-hmm.
affecting real people, real lives out here.
Twinkle, can you refresh your wacha ni mute kwanza? Diana, hebu mute.
Okay.
Okay, Twinkle, hebu ongea tuone kama ni echo, maybe ni it was conflicting with Diana's.
Hi, Kunis.
Aya, ongea.
No, I'm done. So I'll say that it actually affects real people with our real life situations. These things actually come to affect us. It's not content, and I'm glad that Nyako has taken this direction, because it's going to help a lot of us. Thanks.
Okay. Now, one of the things that I would love for Danstan Omari to do, if Danstan Omari was my lawyer, I would take this case a notch higher, because I want to dig on Germany. Because Kenya has an extradition treaty with Germany. I think this extradition treaty was for between the two countries. I think it was, guys, go and read, because reading is important. This treaty was founded based on what our laws in Kenya says. I think it's in our laws we have the if you go and read in chapter 76 of actually our constitution and our laws in the penal code, there are extradition laws and treaties per country. Each country has a section that defines the type of treaties and what happens when extradition occurs. Now, extradition also means that if there is a case in Germany and the evidence that was picked in Kenya and went to Germany was actually collected based on a fallacy, and it was collected based on a criminal act, then this is what Danstan Omari should be paying attention to. And I think that will be 7 days after Safaricom gives a response, because a demand letter usually will be, they will respond in 7 days. And after Safaricom response, they are either going to acknowledge that that information came from them, or they are going to acknowledge, I don't know, Sama, surely. Or they are going to be at a place where they are going to say that, hey, we don't know where this information came from, but we are doing an investigation internally. Or guys, we have found out that something is happening and we are going to take care of it, so give us time. So this is not about extradition, but this is about somebody collecting evidence from one government, that is Kenya, in a very, very suspicious way, and moving the data, because this is not just a data breach within Kenyan territory. This is a breach that moved from Kenya and went into another territory, which is Germany. So if I was if I was Nyako, I would move it a notch higher and push Danstan Omari to get the Foreign Affairs Ministry to petition the German government and find out if there is a case, and if there is a case, what was the basis, and what is this case about, and how did the paperwork from Kenya reach Germany to be used for evidence basis. That is something I would push for. If I was Nyako, I would actually push for that, because you'd like to know the data breach is not just about what is happening on TikTok or wow, how information was put on TikTok. No, but there's actually a basis for this data breach. And the basis was that there's actually an investigation going on in another country. So if things moved from one territory to another, then the Foreign Affairs Ministry should be aware. And it's so important. So I think that's something that after the demand letter has been sent and Safaricom has responded and acknowledged that, yes, this has something to do with Safaricom, then anafaa kukanyaga fuel. And sasa tujue, yes, there was a data breach, but this data breach had effects that moved not just within Kenyan territory, but it actually went outside of the country, you know, quote unquote, an investigation going on and a case court going on. So, yeah. Nimesema sasa hivyo. I think that's something that he needs to think about as we continue. So may I be following, because this is a matter of interest to me, and I'm so excited, honestly. These are the things that make me happy. These are the discussions I want to be part of. Yeah. Hivyo tu. So as we continue this analysis and as we wait for what Safaricom is going to say, because I think that, Nomad, what is your obsession with extradition? I'm talking about evidence that was moved from Kenya into another country. Danston Omari can actually ask the Foreign Affairs Ministry, because a Safaricom will have responded about a possible data breach. And Danston Omari can petition the Foreign Affairs Ministry to find out if actually the data breach was used to initiate a case in Germany. Do you understand what I'm saying? Ama hujaelewa? Sawa sawa. So yes, only a magistrate can issue that order, but magistrates only issues orders after your lawyers have actually followed up on applications in court. That is how it works, Nomad. I hope you get my point. Sawa. Na kama mtu ako na swali apande tu hapa juu aseme, ama we come and talk here. Si eti mna nini. Just come and talk here. Sawa.
There's a lady called John. I think Diana uko na echo.
Aki mimi sina eko, but wacha nishuke. Ni
kwa sababu
wewe Kunilicious ndio uko na eko.
no,
Wewe tu.
ukizima yako then mtu anasikika vizuri.
Wacha nitoke alafu nikuje.
Haya. JB ndio huyu anapanda. Akuje muulizane maswali. Hi, JB mambo?
Hey girls.
Sasa.
Poa sana. Sasa Dana ameshuka, nilikuwa nataka kumrequest.
Anarudi.
Okay.
Ni eko.
Okay.
Haya, memes kwanza. Memes please be respectable. Staki matusi zifly ama kudharauliana. Let's keep it in order please. Haya, Donna nimekutumia umeshuka tena, nimekuaccept ukashuka. Donna tuma tena. Wacha Diana arudi ndio muulizane. I think memes na JB mko hapa kwa sababu ya Kenya Diana amesema.
Wacha niongea haraka, sijamaliza. Nilikuwa nataka Diana ajarudi juu. Nilikuwa tu nataka kumwambia Diana, aki please this time asaidie Nyaka win this one, because naona celebrations bado zimeanza. I believe Nyaka hajapeleka Safaricom kotini, atawapeleka wasipo respond after 7 days, ndio?
Ni demand letter. I think mimi sijui venye zina work. Twinkle, do you know how it works?
That is I understand. Kwanza Diana this time jamani, na Nyako na nani Nyako wherever you are, I know nanisikia, please. This time must for win case against the Safaricom, kindly now I think you're free to block Diana. This time, I swear. This time, block her. Because I know this energy, you got it from Diana. And Diana is more learned than watu wengi sana hapa. So, I would love that Diana aongeze mafuta. Najua you're in communication. Gugundi hawajui. Alafu advise her. Because Diana now has taken the position of advising the lawyer on what to focus on. So, naona wakishikana wawili, kataenda kaende. This time nyaka win, yani like uni, I'm serious. Yani this time I win, wezi zaliwa una lose case, kila kesi una lose. Mi nataka Diana asimuachilie. Petition sijui mali ilifika, lakini Diana usijaribu ku make hata a quarter step behind. Mushikilie mkono. Kwa sababu nyaka ameona zile billions pale zinamgoja zimkaribishe. Na nyako akiwini case natupa line yangu ya M-Pesa because siko safe.
JB, unajua kuna kitu moja kuna venye mtu mneza adresiana without having to throw like you're throwing jabs. There's a way you can have a discussion with someone bila kuwa ni kama una throw shade. If you listen to Diana, anaongelelea mambo, hajali mambo ya accountability yenyu. The breach of iyo data, iyo unaelewa. Sasa hii point ametoa ya mwisho, nisikize kwanza JB. Hii point ya mwisho ametoa amesema because it can happen to anyone. This is not even about Nyako.
I know it public interest. Sindio?
Naelewa, goja JB kidogo. Statement zilichukuliwa na njia ambayo si halali. Hiyo ni guarantee. Now, venye zilichukuliwa ziko na ruhusa ya kutumika kwingine.
How do you know that? How do you know that before we move to the other nini? Ilichukuliwa kwa njia si halali. How do you know that?
Ule dema kuchukua JB, it's obvious. Ule dema kuchukua hizi documents na njia halali.
How do you know that? Ningetaka kujua venye unajua wewe juu mimi up to this moment najua alichukua kwa njia halali.
Kwa sababu aliwapea hiyo information but kufanya analyzation with the details on ground. Unanielewa JB? Mulikuja mkaambiwa na koko.
Tell me what you know that I don't know.
JB, sikuargue. Ni venye nyinyi mlikuja mkaambiwa. Hatukatai, mko na the correct statements. Hizo statements ni zake. Nobody is saying they are fake. Sawa? But venye zilipatikana, nyinyi mlikuja mkaambiwa kuna court order and all that. But kuna mahali things are not adding up. Na hiyo ndio huko ndio kuna loopholes ambazo we are not even fighting nobody is fighting the other.
Hatukuambiwa kuna court order. Tuko na court order. Hatukuambiwa kuna court order. Tuko na court order. Hatukuambiwa. Kwani unafikiria Ujerumani watachukua statements bila kujua that those statements are legit? Tena wao ndio unapea kazi ya kwenda kuanza kuchunguza how is this? Do you think a German citizen is going to present a fake a document that is obtained illegally to court?
You're not getting. We are not saying illegally. It was issued by that law office. Umenielewa? Okay, JB, nielewe.
What you are saying it wasn't issued illegally. That is what you said again.
Nisikize, please listen first. Usirukie, nisikize kwanza. Iyo court order mko nayo. Barua ilidraftiwa kutoka kwa ofisi ya nani? Ya lawyer, right?
No.
Ilitoka kwa koti. Judicial court.
Of course.
Judicial court ikeka mpaka na imepitia mpaka foreign affairs
ikapigwa attestation. Pale Queen Manya alikimbisha miguu.
Haya, ilipigwa attestation.
Ati?
Ilipigwa attestation because for a document to be used
attestation is stamp ya magistrate ya judge.
Not only that, an embassy has to put an attestation stamp to show that
inaingililia wapi hapa?
No, but it's a normal thing. Attestation is a normal thing for all documents used abroad.
Embassy inaingililia wapi? Mention embassy ama nimesikia zangu.
Embassy ya Germany yenye iko Kenya ili attest your document.
Imekujia wapi embassy Kuni?
Unielewi, there is something called attestation of documents. These documents zikitoka kwa country of origin inafaa kuatestiwa na for it to be used in another country. You cannot use a document, hata education
Sasa
document.
tumefikaje kwa country to country na tuko bado kwa Safaricom jamani?
Si ndio sasa hizo
Hatujafika
statement
kwa country to
mlitumia?
country. Kwa
Hauelewi.
hii ngoja twende step by step. Hatujafika kwa how it landed German. Tunataka kujua how it was obtained from Safaricom. How
Safaricom
it was obtained, tuko hapo. Hatujafika venye iliobtainiwa hapa. Hiyo I think ni kazi ya baadaye. Hiyo inakuja later.
JB, hi, how are you?
Where?
Hi Twinkle.
I'd like to ask a question. When Peacock, I'll just take you back kidogo. When Peacock, sorry. When Peekaboo was having a conversation, okay, or rather when she was sort of giving out the evidence, there's something that she said, that she sent this M-Pesa statement to Coco, who has a case against Nyako in Germany. Until there, are we right?
Ngoja kidogo, ngoja nisome WhatsApp. Okay. Okay, sawa, wacha nikuje.
Guys,
Goodness, I'm going to leave my comments to myself because I don't want to ever be recorded with what I would have said because it will bite me. But continue.
why are
Sorry.
you scared? Why would you be in a platform and be scared to comment your opinion? Come on, it's a free world. And so if
It's not.
they recorded what you gave out your opinion,
No,
which was not straight.
Kunis, I'm actually shocked at JB for real, and I mean that with all due respect.
I'll tell you something
But
before you go down. Ama before you don't comment. Guys, I
yes,
want you to understand one thing. And watu wote mko abroad, you can attest the world right now. I'm talking about dunia ya sai. Dunia ya sai, if a certificate, I'm talking about any document that is going to be used out of the country. It has to go through attestation. First inakuwa attested, inapigwa stamp ya that embassy of that country in the country of origin, alafu inaenda foreign affairs ya hiyo country of origin, then inatumwa kule inafaa kutumika. My question here is, I want you to understand, mimi niko kwa one middle, in the country I am, it's counted like a first world already. So every documentation, notarization, exactly, K-girl, notarization, attestation has to be done. For now, my question is, they acquired these M-Pesa statements. Sawa sawa? How did this tax office receive them without the proper attestation? Manake lazima zikuwe na stamp. Yes, imestampiwa na High Court. Next, ninaenda depression. I cannot argue with you. Usitume request hapa. Hii discussion siwezi argue na wewe. Kaa huko chini. Inapitia judge amestamp. Correct. Perfecto. Inaenda kwanza, inapelekwa the embassy of German to Kenya, huko wanapiga hiyo stamp. Inatoka hapo inaenda kwanza inaenda foreign affairs, alafu ndio hao wanapiga muhuri, then the documents zinatumika kwenye zinatumika. So my question was about, were those statements attested, notarized and attested? A lawyer is the first notarizer. Nerela, the lawyer is the first notarizer. I'm telling you, even power of attorney document issued in Kenya cannot be used in any country that it's going to be used, let's say at a UK. It has to go through attestation for it to go through and be used in UK. Are you getting my point? My question is about that notarization, that attestation. Was it done? Ama ni ile iliprintiwa kwa printer ikapeanwa? If you don't get it, do not argue with me. My question
hence
is
my
that,
question. That's why I asked the question. If there was a case, you understand, for this statement to go into the hands of a court in Germany. There is a procedure. How was Nyako going to be informed that there is a case against her if a procedure was not followed? So I'm not getting it because they claim they don't have a case against Nyako in Kenya. Sindio? That's what they kept on. If they don't have a case against her in Kenya, how do they use also her documents to get her documents are given supposedly legally with no procedure followed, and this information was sent on WhatsApp. So this WhatsApp message is the one that was taken to KRA of Germany to go to a court of law. I'm the one who's not understanding because I'm trying to understand. Do you get my point, Kunis? Kunis, unanisikia?
Sorry, I was distracted, Pole.
Okay. You understand? So what I'm not understanding is if she cannot even understand the word attestation or notarization, how? And you're still insisting there's a court order.
Yeah.
You know, throwing jabs is not helping because it's not Diana you're attacking. It's not Diana's information that is out there. Do you get my point? Because let's discuss, and this is how we learn. And I mean all of us. Because I know to a certain point, you know to a certain point, somebody else knows to a certain point. Isn't it?
Hey, Diana, you're coming after nani ameshashuka. Ni kama simu yake ilikuwa na shida. Yeah,
Oh, Diana.
invite. Sorry, if I sent you, nimetumia mtu, but I don't know.
Nani
Anyway,
ameshuka? What happened?
I think JB amepigiwa simu ashuke, so I don't know. It's okay.
Oh, what happened? What was going happening?
No,
What
no,
was
we
happening?
were just having a talk and
Wapi JB?
JB come. We were just having a discussion. Diana, what I was asking, I was
Yeah.
not. Me, I'm not disputing. I'm not even involved in mambo ya accountability and that. Iyo,
Yes.
my point. I was trying to explain to JB. Hata kama mta have a discussion, isikuwe ni kama kuthrow jabs and like attack mode. Just have a conversation ile unauliza hii swali, okay, if you don't understand it, okay, fine, we move forward and explanations zita happen. So I was at
Oh.
this, yeah, ndio before
JB si
back and
anajua
forth.
JB anajua mimi sitaki kutusiana na yeye pia anajua we can I go to
So
their platform hata kama ananitusi saa ingine but we need to kama tunachambana tuchambane tu na respect lakini for now
hii topic, my point was this topic doesn't need people to make the other look stupid or you get my point, like unaniambia nini, because
unajua hiyo ndo
at that point of discussion I might think I know something and Twinkle will teach me something. I will be corrected. Unanielewa? It's that kind of discussion.
Very, very true.
Yeah, because I got this document, nilipata hivi. Bado kuna loopholes. There are loopholes. And the loopholes come in that issue of that court order. Yes,
Exactly.
it was written by the lawyer hiyo ofisi. But my question was, I don't know, unless somebody in Germany can educate me, and I don't, please, not somebody like TikTok depression. No, please, nasima dharau. Nataka nifundishwe na mtu anajua lawyer Germany vizuri, ameshapitia documentation kutoa Kenya, zikafika huko na ziko related kama hizo za finances. Si mtu amedeal na kesi ziko on the ground.
Nani JB ako wapi? But let me tell you something, Kunilicious. Wacha nikuambie. Wacha nishuke because mi sijui kwa nini niko na ni mimi ndio nasikia hii echo ama ndio nilikuwa nataka kukuambia there is like a background noise. I don't know. Kunilicious ni wewe.
Mi sina background noise. It's you.
Kwani hii kitu nimetoa wapi mimi?
Ebu mute. Sai naongea unaisikia? Na memes hata hajafunga. Ebu niambie kama unasikia because Ebu fungua.
Ai,
Hi.
mbona sisikii sasa?
Aya, sorry Mims, nafungua mic yako badala ya nifungue yangu. Oh, yangu sijafunga. Uisikii sahi?
Is there a noise guys? Because mi nasikia kitu ni kama mtu anasokota tu uko. Unasikia?
No.
Umesikia? Nimesikia, ni kama nimeongea alafu tena ikanijibu na uko ndani.
Wewe usituletee tu nini. Wacha ni TV kwa volume number 2. It can't be the TV. Haya iko 0. Sahi?
Can you unanisikia hiyo kitu?
Wewe ndio unasikia peke yako. Haya Mims chukua mic.
Nakusikia vizuri.
Mims chukua mic.
So the thing is, one time there's a question I was asked by Diana. Kama mimi niko one of those people wamepeleka nani, and I was confident, and nikamwambia no and no and no. At one point even na nimekuwa ninaeka records zote, everybody mwenye ashaifungua platform za kukua mimi niko falsely accused, because it is very depressing by the way, na it's somehow psychological. Mtu anakuwa tortured because kila mtu unaona comment section, sijui wengine rest in peace. So I've been waiting for this day now, people to see who is this particular person mwenye amekuwa naenda kwa mapolisi na kwenda kotini na nimekuwa accused every time, which is very disturbing. Secondly, nani, kwa hivyo, I can sue somebody for false information, the defamation of character. So hiyo ni point number 1. Secondly, nani kunis, you know, when you get for example, maybe it's a title deed or something that you want to do, or maybe a sales agreement, when you receive the documents, maybe zitumwe kwa address yangu kutoka Kenya na by my lawyer, Kenya atume huku. Juu niko mbali, nitasign, lakini nitasign in front of a notary. Yeah? Na documents zangu zitakuwa stamped na nota. Kwa hivyo, any information, if you know that is legit, they can still do the other way round. Wako na hiyo document na wakue sure, kama imetumwa na wakili kwao, lazima waende kwa nota, that particular document ama statements zenye wako nazo, they can be, if they know very well, because when you swear, it's like swearing. It is true, it is legit, na if it's not true, you'll be sued. So any information wako nao, tuseme hizo statements wanasema, there is, you don't have to pass through the embassy, even the change of names ama vitu kama hizo watu ufanya nini. Personally ni maneno za property mi ufanya hivyo, ama document yote, ama nikikuwa na kesi nitachukua nota niseme hii stamp. If I don't have time to go to Kenya, itastampiwa na nota. So inatoka kwa wakili inakuja kwa nota huku. So that statement wakapeleka kesho ikue, najua kabisa ni ukweli. It is like swearing. Then it is attested na kunapewa nini inaitwa, there is that seal. Yeah. Then you're good to go.
Now my question comes in, does those statement have that seal? Does it require or does not require?
Because from Kenya they don't need, tuseme they don't need, but here you need to go to the nota na istampiwe kuonyeshana ile story unapatiana, ama any document that you have, it is real, it is original.
So yes. My questions, you understand now why I'm asking that question. Were these documents, were they given that seal?
It doesn't matter whether in Kenya, if they came from a lawyer and it's a genuine document na imepitia venye system yenye inafaa kukua, then when they received it, and if they want to take it to court, they just have to get a nota.
But Mims,
yeah,
which country, you know, that's why we have, in all countries, we have a Department of Foreign Affairs, true or false?
Yes, but some of these things,
how? It's a financial document. How can it not go through the foreign affairs of the country of origin?
It doesn't have to. Wacha nikwambie nani kunis. Tuseme kama for example nimepata tuseme maybe my PIN ya Kenya, yeah, and nimetumiwa na wakili na maybe, and I want to clear my things na nifanye na nini, I can actually go to nota. Is a person who is it's an attorney yako juu kuliko hata it's a government. He's working for the government in the legal whatever you give to the nota, it is clear. Hata kama ni majina usiwahi danganya, hata kama ni point iko usiwache, kwa sababu a nota is above, ni kama ana act on even those hakuna hata ministry of hiyo document hata ikatimwa na itumwe German embassy ama ministry of foreign affairs here in the Kenyan embassy in Berlin ama itumwe German embassy in Nairobi, as long as the nota has stamped it is a legal document and it is true, it is legit, then it is imekuwa kwa nota. So any document ama statements zenye mtu anataka ukipata kwa you can do anything kama ni za ukweli.
Yes, mimi na believe so much in working with what the law says. Okay.
Yeah.
This is what the law says in Kenya. If you're getting any evidence, if you're collecting evidence for court purposes in Germany, this is the requirement. Na ini endeni kwa Google msome. Kwa sababu it's good for you guys to understand. First of all, the government of Kenya will be in communication with the government of Germany. And for the government of Germany to get any evidence in Kenya, it has to be information that has been sent to the government of Kenya. If at all it is wire fraud. Unasikia? Because hii kesi tuliambiwa ni fraud. The basis was fraud and it was about money laundering. Isn't that what they said? So I'm just here to read for you exactly what it means. Before a court gets any evidence from Kenya to Germany, that evidence, this is the process. Sasa nawasomea. Sasa leo tumeenda Google direct. Because masomo ni muhimu na tunataka, and I encourage people to read. Aya, this is the first requirement. Number 1, the German embassies and consulates in Kenya require documents to be translated from English to German. The documents must be brought. Unasikia hapa vizuri? The documents, tena wameandika must. The documents must be brought. Ati we only read comments. Akiwa ananichekesha yawa. The documents must be brought for document authentication at the Legal and Host Country Affairs Directorate. The process is as follows. Number 1, submit the request and required documents at counter 39. Unasikia vile imeandikwa tena mpaka Huduma Center at Center City Square Nairobi.
Then wacha kucheka, soma.
Receive a receipt and collection slip. Unasikia? The documents are sent to the Legal and Host Country Affairs Directorate at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Thank you.
The processing time is usually 2 to 3 business working days, but in some special instances it takes about 7 days. Unasikia? Then you collect the documents. Unasikia? Alafu sikiliza vizuri kitu wanasema. You, after collecting the documents, ndio ukizipeleka, if you're moving the documents to Germany, they must be notarized before they are submitted to any German courts.
Thank you.
The purpose of notarization is for verification of the authenticity of the documents and the evidence to be produced in court. Are we all together up to there, guys?
Yeah, keep
Tuko
on.
pamoja? Sawa? Now, that is the process. And the purpose of notarization is to validate the authenticity of the documents. There is no document that you can present in a German court if it has not been authorized by the Kenyan government through this process yenye iko hapa nimewasomea hapa. Lazima zipitie key process. And the Foreign Affairs Ministry must be aware that there are documents leaving the Kenyan government to go to the German government for purposes of an investigation. Sawa sawa, hivyo ndo vile iko. Chelei, nani amekuuliza hizo maswali unajibu hapo, ama unataka tu kupiga kelele? You just want to talk. So let me tell you guys, one thing people need to understand, skiza. This case is actually high profile according to these people. They say that she's being investigated for wire fraud and money, things kuhusu money. You guys, this is supposed to be a very high profile case. There is no way any court in the world will just pick papers at somebody brought them from Kenya and use those in court without them verifying. It does not work like that. There is no court in the world, hata kama ni Mexico, hata kama ni wapi, hata penye hakuna sheria, that can actually pick any document from the streets without verifying how they were acquired, because this is court evidence. And you guys, let me just tell you, I know you might not even want to listen to this, but the fact that these people are claiming there is a court case going on, alafu wanachukua evidence that is supposed to be used in a court case, na wanakuja kudiscuss tena kwa TikTok na kesi inaendelea. You guys, there's a problem. Tukweni tu reasonable. There's an investigation and a case going on, jamani. It's already in court according to these individuals. How then are these people able to come out and talk about the evidence that is being used in a German court and bring it on TikTok, man? That doesn't happen, yawa. Tukweni tu realistic, yawa. Hmm? And this is telling me that there's actually no case, there's no case in court going on. I believe there's just a report that somebody has actually, maybe reported her to the German whatever entity. Nani JB, wacha kukuwa obsessed na story ya Kinembe. Can we be reasonable, please? Can we stop? We are talking here, we are being reasonable. Stop making comparisons that don't make sense. Na ukitaka please panda hapa juu tuongee, because we are not arguing, we are having a conversation. Sawa? So a tax office is not a court of law, please. So I think a court of law is completely different, and these are two different entities, and we need to separate these two things. Tumelewana? Kwa sababu I think one of the things that you people are doing that maybe inakuharibia na hamuoni is that you are having discussions and talking about issues from a place of emotion. You need to really be knowledgeable on these matters for you to talk about them. Like especially court cases, unafaa kuwa a background of what you're doing, because sometimes I think you people are driven a lot by emotions, kwa sababu tunafaa kuseparate issues. Hizi story zenu za kusema ati this is Europe, ati they don't care, that is a whole lot of bullshit. You don't just present any paper you picked on the street to Europe because it is Europe. Who said that? You're disrespecting Europe, bwana. Wacheni kusema ati Europe is different. We are talking about a court. A court. You don't just pick a paper. Hata kama ati umeenda kushtaki mtu for tax evasion. Kwani those tax offices and tax evasion offices, are they that foolish that they can just pick up anything and they're like, oh, yeah, we are going to take this information? Things don't work that way. Tukweni reasonable. Tukweni reasonable. Yes, you can submit garbage to people. You can pick any paper and submit. Hata hapa America, there's so many people that decide to wake up. Hata kina nani. Wacheni niwape example yangu. Ati Kim and a group of women when they ganged up wakajaribu kuandikia immigration hapa America, wakaenda kuandika eti Diana anafaa kuwa deported kwa sababu aliseek asylum. So they picked information from the streets and assumed that Diana went to seek asylum, wakaandika huko. Yes, utaandika, watapata information, but at the end of the day they are going to check what you've written, what you've sent them. Wataangalia hii ni garbage and they'll dismiss it. So you can't just wake up and submit statements that you have picked in Kenya that have not been verified, that do not have stamps, alafu uende ukapatiane tu huko. No, it doesn't work like that. Mary, thank you.
Wacha tuseme, can I say something?
Alafu
Yes,
hii kitu,
Oli. Dr. Judy, please stay muted until your chance come. Oli, please
acha ni
chukua mic.
mute.
Yeah, Kuni,
Yo,
habari zenyu, how are you guys?
Zuri.
Wote. Yeah, so Kuni, I just wanted to I see there is there was something like a question that you said where bado you are not very clear with it, but you are just asking, yeah. But niwataka nikwambie a certain process. I
Okay.
think unaweza understand a bit.
Okay.
So kuko hivi. Zile paper government ucertify ni zile paperwork ziko na logo yao, birth certificate, death certificate, marriage certificate, letter of impediment. Unanipata? Hizo government inaweza kasimama na ijibu ni kwa nini ziko fake. Umenielewa? Lakini kuna private kama company, kama bank, kama barua ya kazi, kama hizo mapepa za Safaricom, makampu hizo, it has nothing to do na gava need kucertify those. Hapa hivi they take nota ndo kama magistrate wa Kenya, kama venye unampopeleka hii barua ikasainiwa na magistrate, hapa ni nota. Unaona? You see, nota ni kama unaona saa venye walisainiwa hiyo makaratasi ndo ilikatoe ile pepa kule, kwa sababu ni vitu private, it has nothing to do with government. Umenielewa? So hapa what they need ni barua kutoka kwa judge kotini kuonesha that hii kitu imetoka, iko authentic, imechukuliwa na correct channel. Umeelewa?
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with government. Juwezi pelekea government barua za makaratasi kama hizo za Safaricom uambie wazi authenticize. Umenielewa? They cannot, kwa sababu that's not their work. Kazi yao ni kuauthenticize vitu zao. They can stand on court na waseme ama wakileta huku barua mbaya na gava imepitisha, wanaweza kasimama waseme that was not our own, hiyo ilipita kwingine. So that's why court order hiyo ni tofauti. Ukitaka anything uko hapa, unataka mabarua za Safaricom za, let's say uko na mtu amefanya bleach something on Keroche industry, unanipata, na you are suing them. Now you have to bring those papers hapa Europe. Uwezi ukachukua hizo makaratasi upeleke government ika authenticize, na ichukue hizo makaratasi ipeleke ati kwa nini kwa embassy. Unanipata? Iendi kama birth certificate, barua za impediment. No, these are different. These are private things. This has to go through court. Umeelewa? Hizi tu ni stories za kotini. Hivyo venye wamefanya, I think wamefollow the right channel because it has nothing to do with gava. But watafanya wataleta hizo barua go through the correct channel. Wataleta hapa, zipelekwe kwenye zitapelekwa, zinde zika wafanye investigation yao wenyewe. Unaona? Wakifanya investigation yao wenyewe, hao wenyewe ndo wataopen kesi na polisi ya Kenya. It has nothing now to do with these people that are complaining. Umeelewa? So gava wata communicate tu na gava that hapa ndo crime imefanyika, hapa ndio umenielewa? Sijui kama umeelewa, but this one has nothing, it doesn't have to go through nani amefungua nini.
Ni mimi ndio nimefungua because
So unapata
Diana, sorry, kuna echo. I don't know what's happening. Even me na feel echo. That's why I keep muting. Ebu maliza Oli, then mtu mwingine afungue.
Yes, so nilikuwa nataka tu kukuambia hivyo ndo understand that vitu za gava ziko na logo ya gava, birth certificate, au hiyo ndo you have to take to the government wa certify those ones, then you take them to nini kwa embassy ya wherever it is the country that you are in, embassy yao ndio wapige muhuri, au hiyo ni between, hiyo ni story ya gava na gava, umenielewa? That's why it goes that way. But kama ni private sector, kama ni kampu, kama ni nini, hiyo inaenda through kotini, umeelewa? That's everything is inaenda through kotini, so you can never mix those two. Those are two different animals. Sasa ukapeleka hii mambo peleke kwa gava ya Kenya, they don't know anything they don't know. But yeah, Nyako anaweza shtakia watu, unaona, anaweza washtaki, but now they have to see mali wali fail, unaona, where did they go wrong, what is it that walifanya waka obtain hizi makaratasi aje, that one is okay, unaona. But hakuna mali gava inapatana na kuenda kuauthenticize hizi makaratasi. Just that's all I wanted to say, kwa sababu zikitoka huku zinakuja huku kwa notary. Yeah.
Okay. Now nataka kukuambia kwa government there are 3 arms of government. Do you agree with me that the judiciary is an arm of government only?
Nani, Diana, let me
I'm
tell you,
just
Diana.
asking. Tunaongea tu pole pole
Yes,
haki,
that's
please.
what I'm trying to tell
Okay,
you.
let's just go
Stop
slowly
complicating
because
things.
unajua
Wacha
kuna
kucomplicate things.
watu, there are people who are here
Stop
that
complicating
they
things, Diana.
they have an intention of learning. I'm not complicating things. Ndio maana nakwambia
Diana,
tusiweke feelings please.
Diana,
Just
a minute.
ehe.
Ongea umalize and then mute because there is echo.
Ni
Two people
kwangu.
si kwako peke yako, ni sisi wote.
Shida ni nini?
What did
Aya.
you maybe
Now,
mistake?
I wanted to tell Oli that there are 3 arms of government, even in Germany. The judiciary is an arm of government. Yeah, so there is no way anybody can walk into any court of law with papers they have picked in Kenya and present them as evidence and they'll be admissible. That does not happen anywhere in the world. Hata kama mnakataa ama mnakubali. Alafu another thing,
Nipeni mic.
wacha nimalize kwanza Pesh, Mike utapatiwa. If you are talking about wire fraud, because that is what Pesh and JB have been talking about, money laundering and wire fraud and embezzlement of public funds, this is a case that has to go through the court. And that is why I spoke and I said that for you to use these statements in a court anywhere in the world, it has nothing to do with Germany or America. Any evidence that you present in any court anywhere in the world, that evidence, it has to be admissible in court. And the reason why the questions about admissibility come up is because where did you get these statements? That is the question that will be asked. Na tena nawarudilia hapa because mnaanza kutwist, mnasema sio kotini. Even if you are going to report her to the taxman or the tax office, that tax office has to verify that paperwork. Because anybody can type papers and give it to the taxman. They have to know the authenticity of all these things that you are actually producing to them. So authenticity and verification is a process that any government body or any arm of government must do to conclude beyond reasonable doubt that whatever you presented to them is the truth, and that truth is what is going to make the basis of their judgment of that individual. Nimemute.
Okay, mi naongea tu only 3 things alafu nishuke. Okay, nitakujibu hivi. Tunazidiscuss because we've never taken her to court and we are not taking her to the court. Umenielewa? There are people who are doing it chini ya maji. That's why we are discussing them online. Another thing, those mbona kuna echo? Those papers sio wajinga. Guy, ziko already na stamp from notar. tushafanya stamp chini ya maji kwa nota, so don't just talk kitu ambayo haujui unless unataka evidence tukuonyeshe mpaka hizo stamps, which we will not do it. The third thing, umesema we are doing the things with emotions. Can you explain how? Because when I checked last time, it's like ulilia hapa kwa live, and that is why I think you are the one doing the things emotionally, ama?
Now, you see, this is what I told you. We are going to have an argument, and it's important for you to stop deviating. This has hata nikilia kwa live, was it
Okay,
something
explain
to
to
do
me the
with the
meaning of
case?
emotional.
Listen, this is what I'm
Ngoja
telling you.
kidogo,
Like
we
now,
are doing things
wacha
emotional.
nikujibu. Like now, you are being emotional while giving me an answer. Because you're trying to make comparisons instead of just answering me. You are trying to bring out the issue about Mimi kulia kwa live, which has nothing to do with this discussion. That is how you become emotional. That's an example of
How
you
are
being
we
emotional.
emotionally?
That's what I'm saying. Like you're trying to manipulate me and put me in a place where I'm trying to question what I'm asking you by trying to bring the issue about Mimi ati nilikuwa emotional. That's the thing I'm trying to tell you. Separate emotions when you're discussing issues objectively. Okay? Now, let me tell you something. Wacha nikuambie kitu Pesh, kwa sababu tunazungumuza. Umesema ya kwamba nyinyi hamjampeleka kotini, sio nyinyi mumempeleka, kuna watu wengine wamempeleka. Nataka nikuambia ya kwamba si lazima wewe uwe umempeleka kotini. Mambo ambayo yaka kotini kuhusu wire fraud, if anybody has access to the actual evidence that is being used in that court process, it is actually interfering with the case that is ongoing. You don't have to be the person that has taken her to court. It could be somebody else, but the fact that wewe uko na hiyo information na unakuja kuidiscuss on this platform using evidence that is actually going to be used in that case is problematic. You don't have to be directly involved in that case. That's what I wanted to tell you because I was responding to that one. Now, kitu ingine tena nilikuwa nataka kuambia kwa sababu umesema mko na seal na notary and everything. It's okay. You could have the notary, you could have everything that you say you have. What I'm telling you is this.
Court order.
When court,
Hey,
okay.
Diana, just a minute. Wacha nikumute kwanza. Pesh, please. Let Diana finish. Akisha mute mic, then utaongea. Because kuna echo. Please, can we respect our ears? Please, tuna echo. I don't know what's wrong with TikTok. Haya, Diana endelea.
Kitu ingine nilikuwa nataka tu kusema ni kwamba hata kama uko na hiyo notary uko Germany vile umesema na kila kitu uko nayo, at the end of the day there is one thing that you need to understand. Where was the source of this information? How was this information actually ilipatikana aje? Because this information is going to be used in court. So far, and I know this might be difficult for you people, this information from Kenya, there is no court order in Kenya that actually ensured that information was gotten. There is no record of that. There is no ongoing case in Kenya. There is nothing like a public interest case. That would be that will be a fallacious argument.
Order, but let me
not do it. Yeah, you cannot show me because there's no record. Court orders are actually acquired after petition. Applications have been made in court. Applications are made by complainer or by people who are complaining. Complainants, they actually make applications. And tena kitu moja nataka kuambia yenye hamjui ama hauelewi, if you're gonna be taking Nyako to court for fraud and talk about embezzlement, you must talk about this and relate it with the CBO. The CBO has to be part of it because she's not just collecting money as an individual. She is collecting money based on the fact that she's working with a community-based organization. So if you're going to be talking about fraud, wire fraud, and embezzlement, you must attach the community-based organization as the basis of her fraud.
You have no idea that she obtained the certificate illegally. You have no idea.
Pesh, I
But
think
we
that
will bring
I think
everything on the board.
Pesh, I think I was the first person to talk about Nyako's CBO here because I have details about her CBO, and I'm gonna repeat
There is
this
no
to you.
constitution. There is no minutes.
Listen, when they first registered the CBO, they put in a constitution and they put in minutes. The only mistake right now that she is doing is that she has not been having meetings for her CBO, and there are no minutes for her CBO as required by law. But when she did the registration
And that's why the
process,
website is foundation.
when she was doing the registration process for this CBO, Charlotte had actually put ebu mute huyu hataki kukuwa part of the conversation, anakuja hapa na matusi. Enda ukae na huko nje. Sisi tunaongea hapa lakini wewe unakuja hapa na matusi. Enda usikize live huko nje bwana. Ala. The CBO, when it was started, Charlotte had organized for some people to be members of the CBO. They did have a constitution and they had minutes when they were registering it. Sawa. And that is how they ended up getting that certificate. What has been happening after the CBO was registered is what has been problematic. Sasa nakwambia. Unaona? What has been happening after the registration of the CBO is what has been problematic. Unasikia? So now the problems with the CBO is what I'm telling you. You need to highlight and attach that with the issues of fraud. If you people cannot connect the two, hakuna pali mnaenda. Misi wadanganyi. It's just the truth that you people need to understand, because some of these things you have to really, if ukitaka kuongelea fraud, you have to say, where is it coming from? What is the basis? It's the community-based organization. Sawa.
Can I ask a question?
Which was obtained illegally. Unajua Diana? Unafanya.
Sorry, sija kusikia vizuri Pesh. Unasema nini? Obtain?
Mute ndio usikie juu kuna kelele.
Guys, hatuwezi kuwa na watu wawili wamefungua mic. Please, let's respect. Mtu akiongea malizi ana mute. Alafu Pesha akimaliza Dr. Judy achukue mic. Mimi usiongee kwanza. Dr. Judy alikuja before.
Nitaongea kidogo. Juu sitaki kuexpose a lot of information. Nitaongea kidogo. Kwa ground, she does not even qualify to have a CBO. The CBO was obtained illegally kwa backdoor. Tutawaletea everything on the table. There was no constitution. There is no minutes from the ground. Iyo paper, that certificate mnaona, alilipa pesa kuichukua illegally from the ground. Umesikia? I will not expose a lot of things, but you people mtakuja kushangaa that the CBO itself, wameniambia ni nyamaze, prove, mtashangaa. Kwa ground, nimewambia kwa ground, mahali alichukua hiyo certificate. And that's why kwa website, you see Nyako Foundation. Kwa nini mnaona Nyako Foundation na ako na CBO? Okay, hiyo imetosha. Ni kwa ground. Naongea kwa ground. Sawa.
Pesh, kuna swali nataka kuuliza. Kwa ile live yenyu, mlisema mwenye mulituma Safaricom aliambiwa Nyako ali-explain wrong reasons why alifungiwa line. Alisema she collects money to feed the... Wacha nimalize sweetheart. She collects money to feed the children, street children, which is mulisema ni wrong. If you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Hiyo ni wrong yenye ume-explain. Kuni wacha nikwambie, she said she's a content creator na watu wanamfungia line maliciously bila kufanya chochote. Hiyo ni pesa yake anapatanga after kama gifts. Unaona hizi gifts wenye unapatanga kwa PayPal una withdraw. Yeye alisema nazipata hivyo, wakamfungulia line. Hakusema hata CBO. A lot kwa ground is different. Thank you. Wacha nishuke. What is it?
Okay. Dr. Judy chukua mic.
And that's why I'm telling you, hata kwa hii kesi yake na huyu anaitwa nani huyu lawyer wake, can you give me 1 minute please?
Omari.
Yeah, eine minute. Huyu sijui Omari sijui whatever. Okay, if you want to, you have to explain to your lawyer, yani everything. Ufai kumficha ama kumdanganya. When you lie, kesi itakugeukia. Hata ni kama unajua ni kama amemwambia hizi statements zimetolewa, yani ni kama private numbers. Hizo private numbers zake alikuwa anatumia kuchukua, but only 20 minutes, okay? Alikuwa anatumia hizo nini, hizo numbers kuchukua kwa hiyo CBO, which the CBO is public, but yeye ile kesi ameipresent kama statements zake zimetolewa pesa yake, yani pesa yake, not hizo M-Pesa statements, pesa ya kwake, not ya CBO yenye walipata court order kuwa kuna wizi unaendelea, ndio waka release ile M-Pesa statements. Umesikia?
Nimesikia.
So pale Safaricom akarauka mapema, akaenda kufanya nini? Kuwadanganya. Ni watu wanamuonea wivu, wanatuma 333, namba ikafanya nini? Ikablokiwa. Alafu ile daraja sand, ama niendelee, yani a lot is coming. Ile daraja sandbox, juu daraja sandbox, kama muli notice, alikuwa ameilink na ile namba yake imeisha na 90 yenye iko na fraud, iko pale ndani. Tukakimbia kwa ground, ndio tukaambiwa that is what she said, ndio maana wakamfungulia hiyo line. Kwa nini alikuja akachange, kaambia watu wasitume pesa kwa hiyo namba, tungoje ingine itoke sijui Belgium, akuje I link na hiyo sijui daraja sandbox? Why? Because alijua tushafika kule. Imetosha ama haijatosha? Na ndio nikawaambia hata alete namba
Daraja
nyingine
sandbox ni nini?
nimalize na hizi statements. Unajua kuna ile link, kuna ile namba iko pale Diana, ukienda pale kwa M-Pesa ukituma, ujui mahali pesa inaenda. Una click tu inakwambia pesa, yani pesa imekuwa imeenda through, but ujui mahali imeenda. So hiyo namba ya pale, au ni watu wa business, ni namba yenye uwezi kuonekana. Umeniambia tosha. Before itoshe naongea 1 point ndio nishuke. Akasema watu wasitume pale, kuna namba she will link. Ngoja kidogo ndio nishuke. Kuna namba ataweka pale, she will link with that daraja, ndio watu wasimamishe juu kuna kesi inaendelea na hiyo namba ya imeisha na 90. Ndio nikamwambia hiyo namba ata connect na hiyo place, ndio watu watume pesa, tutamletea majina ya hiyo namba yenyewe tumwanikie hapa na majina, hata akitumia ya Nina or ama anybody, we shall bring it. Thank you so much. Nani imetosha, nimeambiwa imetosha.
Usiende, usishuke Pesh. Mimi nilikuwa sijasikia kitu moja, nilikuwa nataka you know what, like let me tell you Pesh, usishuke because at the end of the day, you know what, like let me tell you Pesh, usishuke because at the end of the day, you know what, like let me tell you Pesh, usishuke because at the end of the day. Hey, yawa.
Lakini nyinyi guest mnakuja, is it that amsikii ama ni nini? One person
Wacha
at a
niwaambie,
time.
nilikuwa nataka kuambia nani Pesh kitu, because unajua nini, Pesh kukataa kupatiana information ama kuongea and wamechukua usukani kama team accountability, that is not helping your cause, okay? If you are a person that has decided you're going to talk about accountability, you should be able to make yourself available in platforms and actually explain the reason behind your accountability and the reason why you want to do accountability. Hiyo kitu ya kusema ati ushuke, hiyo unajifanya tu, hiyo haisaidii. You guys, let's be honest with ourselves. Now, let me tell you guys the truth that you might not want to hear, Patient, JB, and everybody doing team accountability. It's so important for us to understand that the basis of you people doing accountability is the fact that Nyako has been fundraising and getting money from public TikTok. Ukweli ama urongo, watu wa comment section, juu sasa tunataka kujielimisha. Hii story ya accountability imetokezea kwa sababu Nyako amekuwa akifundraise kwa TikTok, akifanya michango kwa TikTok, na hiyo michango yake yenye amekuwa akifanya, amekuwa akisema anafanya nayo kusaidia watu. True or not? Aya, good. Tumeagree mpaka hapo. So, true or not? If she has been fundraising on TikTok and she has been taking public funds, So you people have started accountability because the truth is kama unachukua pesa za umma kwa public unafaa kuwa unafanya accountability. Ukweli ama uongo pali tumefika?
Swali umeniuliza Diana,
Haya.
kuna swali umeniuliza kama tunafanya accountability tunafaa kumove all platforms, watu wakaandika true. Kwa nini wao wasikuja kwa platform yetu watuulize maswali? It's all the same. We don't have to move every platform. They can also come to us.
Pesh, sijasema hivyo, nimesema Pesh, vile umekuwa hapa, umekuwa ukiongea na unasema you guys are team accountability. Do not limit yourself to the
Yes.
information you want to talk about as the people who are talking about accountability. The reason why tukiwa kwa platform kama hii na tunaongea, you should not be told that shuka usifanye hivi because it is a disservice.
Do you know why we
to you.
limit? Do you know why we limit the infos? Diana, nitakuexplainia kitu kimoja. Ile siku nilikuwa naonyesha M-Pesa statements, ulikuwa mulika hiyo 150. Hiyo 150 mulika mbio. Kuna 150 mara 3 mulika. Alafu nikakupata kwa live ukisema, kwa nini ulikuwa umeweka hizo statements hapo? And that's why we limit the information.
Let me tell you something. That is not a good reason, and I'm telling you the truth. Wacha nikwambie, it doesn't matter how many times people are going to throw stones at you. Si hata mimi huwa mnanitusi. It has not stopped me from sitting on a platform with you. I still am able to have conversations with you. Watu watakutusi, people will question everything about your credibility. But if you believe in your cause, you really need to stick to it and have consistency and stand by your grounds and always defend it with the truth by law. Now, we were talking about this accountability. Ngoja kwanza nimalize Aki, nitasahau point yangu kama inawezekana. Please. Tulikuwa tumesema Nyako ana collect funds online. Nyako ana collect public funds and the purpose for her collecting public funds ni anasema yeye anasaidia watu through her community based organization. Ukweli ama urongo? Si tukasema hiyo ni ukweli. So kwa hivyo kama mnaenda kumfanyia accountability na umeamua kuchukua usukani eti unampeleka kotini, hakuna vile utampeleka kotini ama utamshtaki kwa taxman and you have not attached her community based organization. The community-based organization must be the first grounds for you to touch on her accountability because she was fundraising money based on the issues and the work she was doing with her community-based organization. And this is what comes back to what I was telling you. Community-based organization ya Nyako was duly registered. The problems that Nyako has with the community-based organization right now is that she has not been following the CBO regulations and requirements in Kenya. She's not been tabling financial records. She has not been putting minutes and updating people of the progress as she should. And again, ametengeneza website akaiandika foundation instead of a community-based organization. Those are the issues that are now pertinent. Unaelewa? Unasikia kitu najaribu kusema? Now, mtu ameandika hapo kwa comment section ati alianza kufundraise pesa before afanye foundation. Let me tell you guys, na nilishasema hii kitu before. Kama kuna pesa yenye Nyako alikuwa amechukua hapa kwa TikTok before foundation yake ikuwe registered, na waambia walai bilai, there is nowhere you can take her. Zero. Hakuna. But if you're going to be taking her to court based on her raising money, taking public funds and refusing to be accountable while using a community-based organization that is not following what the law requires in Kenya, and you understand what the law requires in Kenya based on community-based organizations, then you can lay down a case against Nyako. You cannot take her to court if you do not lay down grounds about her CBO operating illegally, and you also have to demonstrate that. Ama
Diana, wacha nikuulize, so I want to just
niulize.
make it, let me ask you a question.
Mm.
You know, okay, not even a question. I hope, Nani, I want just, for me, I'm neutral. by the way, and this case is quite interesting kwa sababu I have even suffered so much. Watu wameni accuse na defamation of characters na niko na video. Hiyo nina repeat sana. So my question is, Diana, okay, not even a question. I want to enlighten you kidogo. When you are having a CBO, and especially when you're living in Germany, or even if you have a company in Kenya, do you know you are supposed to actually let the government know that you own another company in Kenya? Hiyo ni rule number 1. Kwanza CBO, and where were you? Ukichanga ulikuwa Kenya ama whatever you're doing, kama yeye CBO yake alikuwa anachangia akiwa wapi? Anachanga akiwa Kenya ama akiwa Germany? I'm not being biased or something. I'm very neutral because that is the reality. Ukiwa na nini CBO, any foundation, the government kwenye uko, they have to know. Alafu na register pia Kenya, so they have to, in coordination, uliza watu wote wenye wako na ma CBOs whatever, waulize, you have to register what, kama ni kitu na nini lazima uonyeshane huku iko registered na kule uko registered. So that is this is something that you also have to find out. And I hope Yako has already registered her CBO also in Germany na iko Kenya, and I wish her the best. Then
Now,
Mings, I'd like to ask a question. Can I ask a question, Mings?
sinataka kujibu Mims, alafu utauliza.
No,
Si amenielewa.
Twinkle,
sawa.
usiulize kama Dr. Judy hajaongea because you came after. Ama ulikuwa hapa.
Ninaweza kujibu Mims, ameniuliza swali. Inawezekana? Alafu
Yeah,
Dr. Judy
go
aongee.
ahead.
So Mims, I wanted to tell you, there is something called public funds. And when you're fundraising online and you've registered your CBO in Kenya, you can fundraise money public. You can use websites, you can use social media, and you don't really have to fundraise in Kenya or America, but you can use a social media platform to fundraise. Now, you are supposed to report to any government, not just in Germany, even here in the US. If you have a community-based organization and you're fundraising and you're getting money and you're doing work, you have to report. You have to report that you do have a community-based organization, because this community-based organization is actually receiving money and you're supposed to be paying taxes. It's a requirement. It's just a common sense thing. You're supposed to report anything that you receive that is under you to any government where you belong. Kama unalipa taxes Kenya, lazima Kenya pia ijue CBO yako. Kama unalipa taxes Germany, pale huko lazima ijue. Sawa sawa? These entities, even CBOs pay taxes, unasikia? So, and the fact, and once you're paying taxes, that is enough. You don't really have to register your CBO in Germany. You don't.
You have to. That is one of the requirements.
No.
You find don't. Out. Find out.
Listen, let me tell you
Diana,
something.
Find out.
You cannot register a Kenyan CBO in Germany.
Let me tell you
something. You can only register a charity in Germany.
Okay, you can hear what you want to hear.
Unaweza ambia watu. CBO in Germany.
No, but I want to.
Charity
Diana, wacha nikwambie kitu. This is something that I know for sure. I know, and I'm in an organization ya wamama wenye wanafanyanga CBO wa Kenya, and I know the requirements. Hii hata si chocha ama hate ama kukua biased. You have to report, and especially if you reside in Germany, you have to. Hakuna mtu amekukataza kufanya.
You must report. I've told you must report taxes. You must say you have a CBO. You have
to. Nishuke.
But you don't have to register a CBO in Germany, Yawa. Hey, Yawa. A CBO in Kenya does not have to be registered in Germany, but you have to report that you're receiving money for your CBO in Kenya.
Registering is something else.
And that's what I'm trying to tell you.
I'm not talking about.
Register. You don't have to register.
No, we are not talking about registration. Onani, wacha nikwambie, it's not about
but you talked about register. You are saying that
if you register, by the way, they still need to, you have to put your nini, you have to put your papers unaonyeshana, not just
but registering. But lazima uoneshe papers kwa sababu ukilipa taxes lazima uoneshe papers, si ndio?
Okay.
Ukisema uko na CBO Kenya, utasema uko na CBO bila makaratasi. Sizo makaratasi lazima uoneshe serikali. Si hizi makaratasi zako ndio utapatiana serikali, ndio serikali itajua kweli dada amesema akona nini, akona CBO in Kenya, ndio hizi makaratasi ya hiyo CBO. That's the process.
You
You
have to,
must,
sorry,
yeah.
I meant kusubmit hizo makaratasi zote kwa government because of lazima wajue ni nini unafanya.
Of course,
Yeah.
because for you
So
to
that is
say,
also something.
yes, ndio nasema for you to say you have a CBO in Kenya and then you are reporting to Germany and paying taxes to Germany, you must produce the documents for your
Yeah,
CBO
now
to
we are
the German
together. Sasa tuko
government.
sawa.
That's
Sasa
what I
tuko
was trying
sawa.
to tell you. So
Yeah.
kitu najaribu
Hata
kukuambia
kama
ni
nimesema
kwamba,
register, it cannot, watu na nyinyi nini comment section, you are so petty.
and that's why I'm telling you, memes, unaona,
Yeah.
because you must report to the government
Yeah.
based on the fact that you're operating a CBO and you're paying taxes to this government.
Yeah.
In the event that anybody else feels that you're not being accountable and you're operating a CBO, this individual also must have a basis laid upon your CBO to take you to court or also report you to the government. They must understand the operations of your CBO and relate that with what the Kenyan government stipulates for them to present a case against you in Germany for tax evasion. Unanielewa? Sawa? It's so important.
Oh, yes, this is why I wanted to find out. I hope I made it
Animal
clear.
lover, I don't
Unajua
care.
dada now nime nini, that's why I raised that point that if she has declared, amefanya declaration, whatever, it's okay, then she's safe, she can fight nicely.
Dr. Judy,
Wacha nishuke Diana, that was a question I wanted to,
thank you.
one of the big factors zenye watu wanafaa kureason. Thank you Kunis for your platform.
Most
So,
welcome. Most welcome.
yeah, thank you for giving me this opportunity. I mean, I've been listening, both Diana, Pesh. I mean, everybody is right to some point, but I think the whole issue is the accountability and the fact that, right now, we are not even in the paper world anymore. I've traveled to Kenya severally. I have filed papers in Kenya and even gone for cases both in Kenya. We have to remember is any information, like remember, we have cases like the cryptocurrency. We have to remember is any information, like remember, we have cases like the cryptocurrency. We have to remember is any information, like remember.
Dr. Judy, go back to WhatsApp then come back. I think umepigiwa simu. Enda WhatsApp alafu rudi ndio mic ikuwe safi. Na wenye wamuelewi, I wanted to answer someone here. Please focus. The topic was about data privacy, but then questions came in about CBO. So if you're keen enough, you'll understand where the CBO talk kwenye imetoka. Sawa? Don't be confused. Chukua mic,
Yes.
doctor.
Yes, so I'm back. So these investigations kind of mirror each other because look at the FBI. I mean, they can use any information as long as that information was obtained from a system. Any information as long as. Oh God, again?
No,
The mic is
continue.
messing.
No,
Yes.
leave, doctor. Wait, doctor. Leave.
Yes.
Stay muted, please.
Okay.
Doctor, chukua mic.
All right. Is that okay? All right. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, go on.
Yes. Okay. Yes. So in the cases that we've seen, it doesn't matter where the information came from, as long as there's that CBO piece attached. So a fraud case can actually be filed because then, we're looking at the funds. Where did the funds go? Because a CBO is not an individual entity. It actually involves the community. Same as in the US, we have 501Cs. A 501C is like a non-profit organization. So if there's any issues with the funds that are raised from goodwill or, any gifts, there has to be accountability. And if there's no accountability, I've seen people go to federal prison for up to 5 years and they have to pay retribution for that money. And they don't mess about it. They will obtain information whichever way they have to. Remember, for those of you who watch Jichopevu or who watched him, sometimes it's not, how was the information obtained? When is what was happening? What they look at is, was there a reason to start investigating? Because if we went back and investigated the same information and, got that information now the right way, does Nyako have a leg to stand on? Because at the end of the day, this is money that belongs to people who contributed for a cause. And if it's not used for the cause, then we have the wiggle room to actually say this is fraud. And that's why I think Diana was relating that the CBO to the fraud, just same as a non-governmental organization or a non-profit organization linking that to fraud. Because at the end of the day, all these things are correlated, and somehow, some way, the truth is going to come out. And whatever means that they have used to obtain that, that's why we have electronic communication. We don't use paper stamps anymore. For those of you who bought houses like recently and go in to sign your papers, they'll send you a DocuSign document to sign that paper. You can get information through WhatsApp. It's encrypted. It's going to a person. Can you see the stamp on that? Yes, you can. Is email secure? Sometimes not. Maybe if your information is leaked, like personal information, maybe health information, then you have a leg to stand on. But for those non-profit organizations that run in the US and in some of the other countries that I've seen, the public actually can go in and demand to get information. Because if it's registered as a CBO in Kenya, a Kenyan who has contributed has a right to go in and demand for that information. And that is it's fair. It's fair game. So that's all I wanted to say. I mean, I hope I didn't mix anybody up, but it's really fair game. Thank you.
Liv, chukua mic.
Hi, thank you so much. The aeroplane on the ground, any different dimension, it's still a cow. What Diana Ross is saying, what Judy is saying, what I'm going to say, what somebody else is going to say, it still describes the cow. What I'm going to say is a sorry episode that's going to happen here. I don't know who advised Nyako and who gave her this information. It's the worst thing she could do. She should have just bowed down and quietly left and said, you know what, put my hands up. There's so many scenarios. When you go to court, there's so many scenarios that can play out in court. Number one, there's something we call auditing. Auditing is illegal. There's a legality there. Anybody can raise the action of auditing, including the judge themselves. They can say auditing. And when you're going to be audited, be it which government, be it Kenya, be it Germany, you have to release all your finances. All. There is no way around it. Regardless whether it's charity, whether it's employment, whether it's what, it's auditing. Now that's a hurdle that you can't come out of it. And that is why whenever there's financial crisis, everybody who has a very good lawyer will tell you, we need to negotiate this. We need to bow down now before we are raised into a situation of auditing. It can be raised by anybody. Secondly, Safaricom. That horse you're riding of Safaricom, there is something called whistleblowing. Anybody who is working in any organization can give information and they're protected. It doesn't matter which scenario it is. It's called whistleblowing. That person is protected. And Safaricom will put their hands up and say it's one of the employers. But you can't hold us accountable for that because that's a whistleblower. That employer who will be known by Safaricom can also be protected by their own lawyer as a whistleblower, and plus human rights. A whistleblower is also protected by human rights lawyers also. So whoever who's whistleblown that information, if you're here, get yourself the human rights lawyers. Those are the lawyers you should need to align yourself with. As simple as that. Now,
there's so many scenarios. We cannot say what Diana is saying is not correct. I cannot say what Judy is saying is not correct. And you can't disperse me and say what I'm saying is not correct. Because when you go to court, it's a very big arena. Anything can be raised at any time. And I asked you, go back to the 2022 election and see how the court case played out in election. When you go to court, it's a minefield. And anything can play out and anything can be pulled out anytime. So whoever who gave Nyako that advice, I am sorry, you are so lost. If I were you, recant yourself and put your hands up and say, I accept, this thing is a sorry episode, I am out. It's just as simple as that. There's no other way around. It plays out for everybody.
Liv, may I
Thank you
say
very much.
something?
Thank you.
Liv, may I say something? I'm assuming Nyako has gone to court based on her lawyer's advice. And when you go to court, I go to court for a specific case. If somebody else has a different case against me, they will also come to court and complain and put a different case. I will come to court and defend myself. Number two, the issue that we're discussing was about breach of information and how it was gotten. The truth of the matter is that if the information was not gotten illegally, then there's no case. But if the information was gotten illegally, then she has a fighting chance in court. Now, to come in and talk about another case, somebody has to file another case. Remember the guy of Wikipedia. He's in jail today. Why? Because of how he obtained the information. The law is the law. Whether we jump down, the one who said it, a cow, I would say, if it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, it is a duck. Now, what we are saying is that if there was an illegality in a court of law, that is why we have the law. Because outside here, we can be emotional, we can do what we want, we can take sides, we can choose whatever. But in a court of law, the law works. That is why it is a court of law.
Twinkle, I have a question. Who is the person who actually gave this data out? Is it JB and Pesh? Can they claim they got the data from a whistleblower? So who is Nyako suing exactly? Because we don't know who actually got the information out.
Let me answer you. Thank you. Let me answer you, Furaha. First of all, the person that actually released the information has to come from Safaricom because this data is from Safaricom. That is why Safaricom is being taken to court. If the data was from KCB Bank, KCB would be taken to court. Safaricom as an entity uses them as a service provider. So they have a case to answer. Because Nyako's data was put out. Nyako has verified that that is her data. And this idea of people trying to come up here and talk about whistleblower, that is nonsense. There is no whistleblower here. This case played out very clearly in our faces when people said that they worked with CIDs and they went to get a court order to get the information from court. So the idea of a whistleblower or none, that is nonsense and it should stop because this is how people start a lot of rubbish on TikTok and sell it.
But Diana,
let's try to be objective here. The issue of a whistleblower, in fact, I don't want to be in that discussion because it's nonsense.
Can I ask you one more
There
question?
was an individual that came and said that they went with the police and they got an OB number in Maseno. I'm going to allow you to ask me a question. Thank you.
All right,
that they got an I'm so sorry for her. That they got an OB number from Maseno. And based on this OB number in Maseno, they went and obtained a court order again in Maseno to get statements for Nyako, who is not even a resident of Maseno. Okay? Listen, and this is why I talk about this thing being problematic. Number one, for you to get a court order, this is the process by law in Kenya. You have to be a complainant and you make a complaint in a court of law. In fact, complaints are not made in court of laws. Complaints are made to the police or the CID. Then the CID decides that what you have brought forth is credible enough, so we are going to take this matter to court. And for you to take a matter in court, this mapolisi wameinvestigate wakaona kuna shida hapa. Kwa hivyo wewe mwenye umepelekwa kotini pia lazima uambiwe umepelekwa kotini. And for a matter like this, it is criminal in nature. Munanielewa? It is not a civil matter, according to what these women are trying to say. It's supposed to be a criminal matter. And what does the law say about criminal matters? You have to be physically present in Kenya for you to pursue a criminal case against someone. So Nyako needed to be physically in Kenya for a criminal case against her to actually be in court and proceedings to be ongoing for a certificate of urgency or application being made to ask for her statements za M-Pesa. There is no police that can decide to ask for your statements za M-Pesa before you are taken to court. It is the court proceedings and the evidence that is required in court that will prompt a lawyer or a complainant to ask the court to produce financial documents or statements of an individual based on an ongoing investigation that is already in court. Tumeelewana mpaka hapo? Kwa hivyo koti pale itasema mahali tumefika hapa itabidi mulete proof na kila kitu based on the arguments from both lawyers, the complainant and the defendant. Now they will say we are going to make an application for a certificate in a matter of urgency. And once we make that application, it's going to be based on the fact that we want this person to produce their financial transactions that they have been getting money on TikTok or online. And these financial transactions, they are in Safaricom. So we need to actually we are going to ask Safaricom to do what? To bring these things. Unaelewa? Now, once the court looks at your application, na remember, koti itaangalia application kama kesi inaendelea. This is a matter that should already be in court. Na hata huyo Nyako mwenyewe anafaa kuwa amejua ameshtakiwa na kesi inaendelea. So koti ikigrant that order for your statements kuletwa. Hizi statements zinaletwa kotini. Barua inatoka kotini ambayo iko na stamp na seal. Barua inaenda kwa Safaricom, directly to Safaricom, and it is usually served by a process server from that particular court. Ndiye anapeleka hii barua. Barua haipitii lawyer. Lawyer hapeleki barua kwa Safaricom. Barua inapelekwa na process server. An official employee of the court takes the letter to Safaricom. Once Safaricom receives this letter, Safaricom will inform the person whose statements is supposed to be disclosed to the courts that, hey, Furaha, we have received a court order from this court that we need to actually produce your statements for evidentiary purposes in the court. So we are therefore seeking your we are informing you. It's called informed consent. And Safaricom will give informed consent to Nyako in an official letter and communication. And the purpose of informed consent is to protect them. Protect them from any liability because they are required by law to inform you if there is a judicial process that requires them to release your data to the courts. That informed consent, once it's given to you by Safaricom and they have seen that you've acknowledged that you have received, they shall therefore take this information and give it to the courts. Your statements is court property until that investigation and court process is over and done with. Anybody that has this information, let me just finish. Anybody that has this information outside of the courtrooms and uses this information outside of the courtrooms is actually interfering with an ongoing court process. And that is why I talked about JB and Pesh doing things that they don't understand. You cannot in any way use evidence that is being supposed to be court property and bring it on TikTok and think it is okay. Things don't work that way. That's not what the law states. The law is very clear. And now there is nowhere, mimi mwenyewe nakwambia Furaha, there is no record of any court orders being issued to Safaricom. I'm telling you here, 100%, zero. There is no record of any ongoing case against Nyako in Kenya. Zero.
Yep.
Yeah. So let's go on from there.
Yeah, okay, quick one, let me jump in. I agree with you. I just think Kinapesh and JB were using this trail to make content. I don't think they follow the right procedure to get that information. However, what I see here is I didn't see any data that was leaked. All I saw is it could be manipulated information. It could be they made it up. Is there any rubber stamp you saw that actually showed that this data is from Safaricom? It could be, what evidence is there that actually there was tangible data shared? I'm looking at Pandora Papers and how Uhuru's information was shared. And these were actual information from a whistleblower. It was shown in Al Jazeera. It made a sensational case. Nobody got arrested. So I didn't see any data that was leaked online or anything. All I saw is snippets of information. They kept covering. They could have typed that information. So my question is, other than, I didn't see any evidence, like they can say Safaricom gave out this information. So JB and Pesh could just be as well be telling a really nice, interesting story about some data they found somewhere and they decided to make it up and decided to come up with 16 million or 15 million, and they were just making content.
Good. If they are making content, let Safaricom tell us. If they are lying, Safaricom will tell us, because Nyako has now taken Safaricom to court. And her basis for taking Safaricom to court is that she feels, and she's acknowledging that the information that JB and Pesh have is actually hers. That is the basis of the court, of Nyako taking Safaricom to court. And indeed, if the information that JB and Pesh have is what tallies with her statements, because there are recordings about these people reading these statements online. If these things tally in any way, even if it is a snippet, even if it is one name that was shown, even if it is one number that was shown, if they tally, my friend, that is an obvious data breach, and Safaricom needs
They
to
could have
answer.
said, the argument could be that they had the day when data walikuwa na collect pesa, when Askia Diana has sent 50,000 and they wrote it somewhere. So all they needed to do is just to ruffle the
Furaha,
feathers.
no, that doesn't make sense, because these people actually they say they have 51 pages of her statements, and they tabled these things. Some of the things were tabled, and they actually were reading out the totals. Unanielewa?
Yeah, no, I know. Okay.
Exactly. So that's the difference. So it doesn't matter how small or they showed, it doesn't matter. If everything that they showed actually tallies with what she thinks she had in her statements, and it goes hand in hand with what she has in Safaricom from her real statements, then Safaricom actually has a case to answer. This is about data breach. It's not about her money or what she has collected on TikTok and Safaricom. And that brings me to my last point, KUNILISCIOUS. Now, people are talking about Nyako embezzling funds from TikTok through her CBO. Very, very good. Nyako has been operating her CBO in ways that are really not right. All of us have talked about it. But if you're going to be taking Nyako to court for embezzling funds or wire fraud or actually abusing public funds, the first step you're going to take is go to the director or the registrar of of societies in Kenya. You must go there, make an official report, based on the fact that she's been fundraising using her CBO to feed street kids. Make an official complaint to that entity that is tasked with regulating and checking CBOs. Once you have done that, this office will summon Nyako to answer to the things that you have raised. If she does not show up, then the office will give you a go-ahead and a letter that you can actually take to court to show the court that you followed the due process which is required by law. Because there is an entity that guides the operations of community-based organizations. You can't just wake up and say that you're taking someone to court because they are a fraud and they're using their CBO for fraud. It does not work that way. The social services docket was actually created to regulate, monitor, and check the operations of community-based organizations. And that is why each and every community-based organization in Kenya has a jurisdiction. Those jurisdictions actually give a scope of work and how operations should be for each and every community-based organization. So you will go to Kariobangi South, where Nyako is registered, go and report to the director of registrar of social societies in that area. Tell them, hey, there is this CBO that's been operating in your jurisdiction, and it has been saying it is feeding street kids. But by law, what we know about public funds, this CBO has been raising this money between this time and this time. It has refused to actually show us financial records. The CBO has refused to table anything about their organization, and there is a website which they call a foundation, yet they are registered as a CBO. We feel that this entity is operating illegally and it is operating against the stipulations of CBOs under the NGO Act, and we would like you to petition and ask this CBO to actually answer to our concerns. Sawa sawa. And let me just inform you guys, for you to even go and report that community-based organization, you have to also find members of that CBO that will back up your report. Then that director of social services is going to actually petition or ask Nyako and her cronies to come to the director of registrar of societies. When they appear there, kama wameshindwa kujibu maswali, huyu mtu ataandika barua na kuwapatia notice of intent to close down the community-based organization because they did not answer any questions in a way that is satisfactorily to the registrar of societies. Sawa sawa? After this process is when you go to court. And now, when you are in court, you are going to be reporting a community-based organization that has been operating contrary to the laws that are stipulated in Kenya.
Of course, it will
on
not be easy.
CBOs. Okay? So after you've done that, utafika kotini, magistrate atakuuliza, how are you saying that they are operating against what is required in Kenya? Ati, oh, bwana magistrate, we are saying this because we actually petitioned the society, registrar of societies. The registrar of society called this individual to come, twinkle mute, and this individual did not show up. Despite the fact that we petitioned this entity, they did not show up. So mkiwa kotini, unaanza kueleza stori za pesa na vile hajaweka financial records na hajaweka minutes. Ndio sasa itakuwa basis of the case of fraud. And after that, ndio utauliziwa hapo katikati, sasa, then can we get the financial records of this community-based organization based on these things? Unaelewa? Hii ni kesi ya accountability. That is how it works. Sasa koti itauliza, CBO itawalazimisha walete statements zao zenye wamekuwa wakioperate nayo from the time they were registered until the day you've taken them to court. Then the court will look at these evidences, and when they determine beyond reasonable doubt that this organization has been collecting public funds and they are not able to account for it, the court will find them responsible for actually defrauding members of the public. And apart from the CBO being closed, that case, after they have lost it, then you take that loss in Kenya and the judgment in Kenya on this CBO and the fact that the CBO has been deregistered in Kenya is when you can use all these facts and then you can open a case about tax evasion in another country. Hizi vitu zingine zenye mnafanya hapa, they are going nowhere. Zero. You are not going to achieve nothing if you do not work with CBO and the government of Kenya in terms of accountability. Nimewaambia. And we shall revisit. Thank you.
Great 100%. I think you understand the process. Kama you worked in the NGO world. If I think you're giving Kina JB and Pesh a leakage on if they really want a proper way to do this, they should do it like that. But I want to give you a different case in UK that happened that a lady got arrested for 2 years just because of people went back and said her lifestyle has changed. She raises money online, blah, blah, blah. And they gave all this information to the government. And when the government, it took them 2 years to investigate this girl based on information they felt like she's defrauding people online, asking for Black Lives Matters. Actually, her story was told. And out of that, they realized, they asked her for the bank statements, everything, all that, and they realized that she's been embezzling funds and she got arrested for 2 years. So it's possible that they could be, especially if the NGO is also registered in Germany, it's a good reason. If actually you look at her lifestyle, there's good reason to investigate her.
Raha, the laws of financial in Europe are all one. All one when it comes to financial businesses on high magnitude. We also have a case where we had a very prompt TV representative who was collecting, not even just one, about 3 of them. We've had cases in UK where they were collecting money on the name of cancer. I repeat, on cancer. And they were found out because somebody whistleblown. So that there's a thin line between data protection and whistleblowing when it comes to financial.
Yes.
And when I say whistleblowing, and you may say as much as you want to say, that's the defense, the person who gives that information and compromising the company's policy of data protection. It is termed as whistleblowing, and that is the act and the defense that Safaricom will come after. Bet me £1,000, we are on it. That's the
I know.
defense that the Safaricom will come after.
Yes,
One
and as a
minute,
whistleblower, you're
This
one minute,
scenario.
1 minute, my
So,
ladies. I appreciate you. Please, guys. Tapuru to Sihang, please. Be busy. As we listen, we get busy tapping. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Cornelicious. Anyway, thank you so much for taking me on board. Me, I'm a different person. When I come in, I allow the scenario for everybody. I don't take one side. I don't side everybody. I tell you what, I say Nyako. Nyako has taken a step. Yes, that's a step to take forward. But at the same time, her lawyer has told her there's something called auditing, which is Fraha is talking about. When it comes to any money, even right now in UK, our Prime Minister, they're asking for auditing because of companies that got money in COVID down. So let me tell you something. When it comes to money, there's something called auditing. Auditing is different, and that's something that can be raised by either party. It can even be raised by the judge themselves. The sitting judge can ask for auditing. Prosecutor
They
can ask
cannot,
for auditing,
please,
and
you
the other
guys,
person
they
can
can't.
ask.
Aki,
So
wacheni kumisinform
So
public.
that is
Listen,
Dana, you
Nani,
also do misinform.
no,
And
live,
I'm not gonna
live.
argue with you.
Let us,
I've
no, we
listened
are
to
not
you.
arguing, we are just talking. Let me tell you
Yeah, but
something.
can I put my point across? Because I've
If you
just
take,
listened to you.
wacha tu nikwambie ukweli, because this thing will get lost in thought. Unajua, si kwa ubaya.
You are
There is
stopping
no
me in the
way, there
middle,
is
and
no
I've
way,
had to
I'm not
keep quiet to
stopping.
listen
There
to
is no
you.
way, that
So
a judge can
what I'm
decide
saying to
to
you
say,
is, can I just finish my thought through, and then you can come back in like you did. Let's just go the way we've been going, because it works very well. Because it's about debating and sharing information. It's not about arguing. It's about debating and sharing information. So what I'm saying to you is that everybody has got some sort of defense. You got patient JB. What would your defense be in such a scenario? Your lawyer would present you and saying, these are people who set out to do good for themselves and for the community, but they were ill-informed. Those are the words that their lawyer would use in court, ill-informed. Meaning hukukuwa na information proper ya kujua this is the process mtu anatakiwa kufuata yenye Diana ametuambia. So kila mtu, mile kitu nasemanga kwa maisha, usiwahi ogopa kwenda kotini. Ikifika kwenda kotini maisha yako, it doesn't matter where you are, which side of the planet you are in this world. Mtu akikwambia mwende kotini, be happy. Because when you go to court, you get a day to speak for yourself. At the same time, you have so many scenarios you can play out for yourself to defend yourself and to present yourself on the same breath.
Live 34.
Thank
You said a very good point there. You said during COVID time, somebody leaked information about how COVID money was being spent in the UK. Remember, their messages was leaked, through Vodafone. So in UK, you can use Vodafone or whatever you're using. Messages were leaked. However, the whistleblower was not arrested. They went after the information, and once they confirmed the information, people stepped down. Even the Prime Minister stepped down. Because once they counter-checked the information and they actually confirmed it was right, they had a reason to step down because they've been embezzling funds. Now comes the next process. If they now want to go after the whistleblower and if now they want to sue Vodafone and the rest of the people, that's a different story. But then, I mean, it will play out very interesting because the person who is saying their data has been breached, actually they should be saying the CBO information has been leaked out, not her personal data. Because that's what she was doing. She was collecting money in the name of a CBO, not for herself. So yes, I agree with you, Liv.
You have said one point that Diana missed to say. Yeye amenda kusema personal data yake. Akusema ya CBO. Thank you very much, Furaha. That's a very strong, valid point you've put there that you missed to say that, Diana. Thank you.
Now let me answer live and Furaha. I guess you don't understand why she said it was her personal data. She said it was her personal data because there were personal numbers and all this money was coming to her or from her to other people. Actually, if you're smart enough, you'd understand why she chose to say it was her personal data. It has nothing to do with the CBO. It's about money that came to her and money that she sent to other people as a personal customer of Safaricom. And that is why we talk about data breach. Data breach is about personal information, okay? It has nothing to do with the
But
community-based
the CBO
organization.
is also personal.
Now listen, a CBO is not a personal thing. In case you don't know, a CBO is a community-based organization. And for you to actually talk about a community-based organization embezzling funds, you must be able to verify and even say that this community-based organization is actually receiving these funds. And if it's public funds, you must demonstrate to any court of law that this money went through that community-based organization for you to be able to build a case against it. Now, there is a very good reason why she talked about this being her personal data. It's because the monies were going into personal numbers and she was transacting with personal individuals. And that is the basis of the case of a data breach. And you need to understand the difference.
Which is trying to steal. We are looking at an individual here, Diana, and the case is about an individual here who is supposed to run a CBO. She has a pay bill number, but she chooses to use her personal number to collect money in the name of collecting money for street children. So we are looking at somebody who is very conniving in this case. This is the person we're dealing with.
Very good, Furaha. Very good, Furaha. We are talking about a person who's conniving. But can you prove that she's conniving in court? I just want to ask you, because you see, you're talking about her being conniving. Courts don't care about your feelings. Courts don't care about what you think. Courts work with facts.
So,
if you're going to be able to prove that this person is conniving and that she picked up public funds and she did it in the guise of hiding under the community-based organization, you must be able to link the community-based organization with the money that she was collecting online.
Based in what you have said, Diana Rose, right now, that means there are two data compromised here. The data of her own personal private and the data of the CBO, which involves multitude of people.
You cannot talk about data of the CBO if there's no transaction that went to the CBO. And again, I'm repeating it to you. No. I'm talking to you about facts. When money comes to you as Live 334FF, it's coming to you as a person. When money goes to your community-based organization, it goes to your community-based organization. And you guys need to know the difference.
There, you
So
you
if you,
finished the case for us
yeah,
there.
and that's what
That's
I'm trying to tell
embezzlement.
you.
That is
Listen,
embezzlement there.
listen, for you to talk about embezzlement, my dear, you've got to have a basis. What is your basis?
Right now, you just
What is your basis?
on that statement you have just said just now.
What
Case
statement?
finished. Kwa sababu
What
let me
statement?
explain to you there based on what you have said. Wewe unakuja unasema tunachangia watu watoto to street kids, we feed them. Unaweka namba na una at the same time uko na CBO yenye wewe last year ulimkaza ukamkaza, it needs to be registered, blah blah blah, all that bureaucracy about it. Now instead of pinning a number that is attached to that company, let me simplify it to make it to that company, right? Now it's the same number that I'm claiming it's mine private. That is embezzlement there.
Now
Please, give me time, guys,
okay.
also.
Okay, fine.
I've been sitting here 30 minutes. Okay, Diana, I have a question. This goes to you. Has Safaricom ever settled with anyone and paid them for data breach? Do you know any case? I have read so much about Safaricom being sued for data breach, but I have not seen any case that Safaricom has settled with anyone. That is number one. Number two, if Nyako loses this to Safaricom, what will you advise her?
Oh, you have two questions. Yes. Now, first of all, I'd like to tell you something. There's something called non-disclosure agreements that Safaricom actually does when it's doing arbitration. That's why you cannot find that information online. Arbitration are usually private things that happen within organizations when data breach has occurred. Safaricom is a company that has settled so many people outside of courts, and it's through arbitration. And then there are non-disclosure agreements that are actually signed and written for these people to not disclose this information online or to any other person. That is what happens. So you are not going to find that information in public, okay? It's so important for you people to understand how the image of Safaricom when it comes to data breach is something that is important for them as a company. And that is why I talk to you people about this petition and the publicity and the media this is going to attract. This is something Safaricom does not want. And that's why Danstan Omari decided to talk about this in the media, because that's the first punch you give an entity that is as big as Safaricom. Punching them in the media, giving it publicity when we talk about data breach is what they do not want, because that means that their credibility is in question and they are a large entity. Their image is something that they cannot afford to put in a place of jeopardy. And I'm telling you 100%, na tutarudi hapa, I know confidently that this is a case that Nyako can actually win. And Safaricom is not going to allow this case to go to court. They are going to have arbitration. The reason being, number one, the amount of followers that Nyako has and the publicity that she does have. And if Nyako is going to get education from Danstan Omari and is going to actually even have lives with that Danstan Omari, because Danstan Omari loves publicity.
And he's lost a lot of precious data.
Yes, if she chooses one time when they're in the court process and they are allowed to talk about this case in her live, and she sits there with him, with the wise people or intelligent people, I am telling you 150%, this is a case that she has won early in the morning Monday.
And the risk is we're talking about him defending a case of somebody who is actually stealing on behalf of.
Now listen, that is listen. Let me finish. I was talking. Let me just tell you something. Let me tell you something.
Okay,
Your argument about him defending a person that is stealing, that is irrelevant. I would say is relevant, because at the end of the day, Danstan Omari is not taking Safaricom to court because Nyako is stealing. Danstan Omari is taking Safaricom to court for a data breach. And you guys need to separate these things. If you want to raise a case about Nyako stealing, I am asking anybody here who feels they have that manpower, do it. na mnione kama mtaipeleka kotini without following the social services and director of services, the process I've told you here. For you
Yeah.
to prove that somebody is stealing, let me tell you, you must put and table in the courts that the money they were raising on this platform is actually directly linked to the community-based organization. This is something that a lot of you have not been able to demonstrate.
No?
You've not. Yes, you have not.
I argue
And
there,
so,
Dana.
listen, courts do not work with your feelings or what you think. Courts work with facts. If Nyako had put a pay bill number here,
Dana,
and the money that she was raising was going on the pay bill directly, you
can I correct
understand?
you on that?
And then the work that she was doing does not quantify the money that was going directly to the pay bill, then you guys have a case about embezzlement against her.
I
But
correct
if
you.
you're going to have a case based on money that was going personally into a number that she was collecting money here, I'm sorry. It dead on arrival.
Just
And
one
it's
point
not,
and then I drop. One
yeah.
point and I drop. A lot of people who actually steal money through CBOs in Kenya use the same method Nyako has used, especially through CBOs. They use their brothers as an accountant. They use their friends and all this so that they have 3 of them. And usually they use their personal numbers to collect data. This is very well known. So this is nothing to do with her being very clever. No, actually she's done what every other thief does when they do CBO work in Kenya. End of story.
I don't think she has done what every thief does. She's a very smart thief, and the reason why I'll tell you this is that people have made shell accounts to actually raise money for their community-based organization, and all these shell accounts were actually linked to the community-based organization. The mistake that people did on TikTok is that they did not pay attention when Nyako chose to remove her pay bill and not attach it with the mchangos. And let me tell you, the funny thing, she even chose to use other people's numbers. That is a way of her actually escaping accountability if you are to take her in a court of law. There is no way you're going to pin this woman down. We are not refusing that she has been doing illegal stuff. She has. And the points that you're
No.
talking about could be true. But at the end of the day, what is the legal basis of your argument in a court of law? Can you say confidently that the money that Nyako was raising that went to her on a personal number was money that was supposed to be working and benefiting the CBO? Can you?
Because
And
that's how
what
she
would be
raised it for.
no,
That
but
was
This is
what?
the
why I
whole
said the word
But then
auditing.
I'm telling you now, even if you're gonna be auditing, when you're auditing, what are you auditing? Are you auditing personal numbers or you're auditing the accounts of a community-based organization? Those are
from the
two different
point.
Audit
entities.
all the finances that have
Even
come
if
through
you're auditing,
any account
even
that she
if you're
holds or she
auditing
has relation.
even if you're auditing all the finances that have been linked to Nyako, when you're talking about a community-based organization, the money and the accusation based on her using a community-based organization has to be linked to the CBO. If there's a CBO account that has actually been receiving money and you feel that the money they received does not quantify to the work after monitoring and evaluating the CBO, then you have a case. But if you want to link her personal money that she's been receiving in her personal number to the CBO, my friend, that case is dead on
She
arrival.
misinformed the mass. That's what she did.
Okay, what would
She
be your
misinformed the
basic?
mass.
Okay,
That, Dana,
if
give me one
she
second.
misinformed the mass, listen.
Can I finish what I'm saying? The lady, I take you back to the lady who started the HIV story in Kenya. She bought a house in Runda. She became so rich. But when the case was put through to her, because she was taking everything, putting it on her name, she lost the case and she had to, all her properties were auctioned after so many years because of exactly the same thing Nyako is doing, using your personal number, yet you have an organization number to collect funds. And then you go and argue out that you cannot, that you're saying, oh, I use the same number, these are my funds, this is the CBO number. So you mix data to confuse people. No, this is not new to the auditors. This is the best way to embezzle funds. And you'll be caught exactly on that. And that is not the case that's going on court. Actually, all I wanted to say before I drop is, JB and Pesh, Diana has given you Mwakenya. Amesema, what you need to do right now is to follow the right procedure to get the NGO board. I don't know, you call them social, then at my point is the NGO board, to get them to start a case on Nyako, so that by the time Safaricom is being sued and statements are being brought forth, then we're going to say this data was actually collected for the CBO. So the person we're talking about after that, she needs to be taken through another court process in Kenya and in Germany and tried for what she's doing. So I think Diana has really educated us on the process for it. No, it's not too late for it. In fact, this is the right time. As long as we know she's used money to live in Serena, she's been tipping people using the money she raised. She's been flying business class. She's been doing this. She's been flying excess trips that she does not need to do in Kenya. Yes, she has staff in Kenya. All this is examples of how people misuse money raised for charity. So
The only
yeah.
way Pesh and JB can go
Her,
about
that
this,
CBO is not even in her name. You remember when we were talking about it and we said
when it started with Charlotte's
has
name.
registered that CBO to somebody else's name? It's not in Nyako's name.
It
Nyako
was
is
in
just
Charlotte's
a member.
name. It was in Charlotte's name and her son. But the only way Pesh and JB can wrap around what you have said, Furaha, is asking for auditing. But what is the grounds for asking auditing? That's where they need to do their homework.
No, Diana
Good,
says
good,
That's
good.
their
Now,
layout.
now you are talking. Sasa tunaongea now. Another thing that is gonna jeopardize this case, if at all it's been taken to a court that is ongoing, according to what they've been telling us, that kuna kesi inaendelea. The fact that these women are actually talking about evidence that is being used in an ongoing case can be a technicality for them. It can actually make this case be thrown out because that is interfering with an investigation that is ongoing. Another reason why going to Safaricom is going to be beneficial to Nyako, and I'm telling you the facts of the matter. If Safaricom chooses arbitration with Nyako and they acknowledge that there was a data breach and they choose to settle outside of court, then the evidence that JB and Pesh have collected is going to be disqualified in any institution, whether it is in Germany or anywhere, because it was collected fraudulently. They will have to start another thing and it will be thrown out.
I have a
But
question
also
for Furaha.
there's
Furaha,
something I need to
hold on.
let you know. Hold
Leave
on. There's
34.
something
Just a
I need to
minute.
tell Diana.
I had
Okay.
not, Diana, you did not mention the
Furaha.
questions.
Furaha, I have a question
Donna,
for you.
yes,
Donna, wait.
Sana hiyo kelele iko na upepo
Question for
yani.
Furaha. Nimetoa. I have a question for Furaha.
Ehe.
Apart from the monies that Nyako has raised on this platform, do you think she doesn't have money of her own so that you can argue that she goes and comes to Kenya in business class, stays in Serena, using money that we collected for the CBO?
so lifestyle audit is something that people do to just question how you're living before and after you started the NGO. And it's one of the key things that will show you generally that there's something amiss. So I cannot claim she does not have her own money, but all I can see is since the NGO started, her lifestyle has changed. I can see somebody who swaps hotels. So that just direct answer without going too long. Lifestyle audit is one of the things that will direct you whether somebody is embezzling funds or not. It's a common thing. I'll tell you one simple thing. The reason why Nyako lost her ile pesa anapewa na government, when they kept visiting and asking her, is it PS5, whatever, they were just checking her lifestyle audit. And after that, they went to question and they then asked her for information and that's how she lost the money. That's the quick way to judge that somebody is actually doing something behind the curtains. That's my answer.
The other thing I want to add, Donna,
let me
Donna,
finish
there's
first and
something,
then...
hold on you guys, there's something I need to add so that Diana can also give an input. There's another thing about Europe. The another thing which has been passed about Europe is having telephone numbers. Now she has several telephone numbers. That is also a big conundrum there for her also. And that becomes an interest in auditing also.
I'll ask a question to Furaha. You said something about her lifestyle audit. My question is, are we forgetting that Nyako is a content creator who earns quite big on this platform? If we're actually discussing a lifestyle audit. Because how much money is she receiving? Wait, let me just finish. How much money is she receiving vis-a-vis against probably what would probably call gifts? And as Diana put this clearly, this is a personal number. This is not her CBO.
I've audited. I'll tell you for free, guys. I've audited CBOs in Kenya for USAID government. USAID is a big organization. This is very common what she's doing. I'll tell you for free, especially in those communities, because they don't understand systems and how to do proper things. So the process to follow is what Diana said. Until they're able to provide audited statements, then we can now find out, we can now have a case against them in Kenya. However, in Germany, it will play out differently. It will play out differently. The tax man is catching on her. The people who are giving her finances, I don't know what they call them in Germany, they already caught up on her and they realize she's hiding money. It's not so hard to see that she's actually using so many numbers to raise funds. That's another way of embezzling funds. It will play out differently in Kenya. It will play out very differently in Germany. It might take long to catch her 2 years later, but still the facts are, facts are stubborn. Facts are stubborn. Until she did step A, then her lifestyle changed. So what helped her change that lifestyle? Raising funds every day on TikTok. Simple as.
And sometimes in this auditing things, I need to educate and we share this information. Sometimes they have caught you, but they look at the fine they're going to give you, it's not worth it. So they let you think you've gotten away with it until you reach a certain sum of money that they can fine you, which is equivalent to the labor put.
Okay.
I have another question for Furaha. She's talking about
People think our
phone
data.
numbers. Huh? Yes, the last one, kindly.
Yes, okay. They say I'm Cielo. I'm not Cielo.
Oh, sorry. I have the last question for you. You're talking about phone numbers. You remember? I think there was a time there was a phone number that was brought forward, and I don't think it was Rosalie Nongolo's line. Huh? So how are you going to be able to connect? Maybe let me say it's an example. Chinedu's number, Mercy Perez. Yeah, that Mercy Perez is Rosalie Nongolo. So will you take Mercy Perez to court? You take Rosalie Nongolo to court? You take the CBO to court? Which way?
Nako is using Chinedu to continue embezzling. She's using other weak people to continue embezzling. Simple as. You can clearly see that it's directly pointed to her.
One moment,
She's
Furaha.
using
Numbers are
stuff.
they're pinned in her own
Gojeni
platform.
kidogo. 1 minute, ladies. Moderators, anyone, Google Nation tafadhali, if you're here, respect my platform. Hapa si cho. Moderators, anyone who calls another person a hater, kuandika wivu, mute them. You come here, you listen, pick a thing or two, utilize it. Hapa si hating ground. Mmesikia? You're here to learn what you don't know.
We're
Haya,
just
moderators
debating.
goja leave kidogo. Moderators mute anyone who tries to insult my panel.
We are just debating on everybody's scenario where they're standing. Like I said, a cow is a cow in which direction you're looking at. So we're not here taking sides with anybody. We're sharing information.
That statement you made about a cow is so disrespectful.
No, I'm talking about when you look at a cow in different angles, it's still a cow. I'm not insulting anybody.
You can use another term instead of that
When
one.
you're on the aerial view, ukikuwa kwa ndege juu ukiangalia chini unaona hiyo ni ng'ombe kabisa. When I say ng'ombe, I'm not talking as ng'ombe.
Bado hiyo
not
statement.
I'm talking about describing an object.
It's still disrespectful because
I am describing an object, and the object of the animal. I choose to use the animal cow.
Leave. You can use another term. Don't use that one here, please. Thank you. If you have to use it, then just drop. If you can replace that statement with something else, better. Thanks.
I've just been misunderstood. I'm describing an object when you look at it in different angle, and the best object to describe was that animal because it's seen. It's a common.
No, Liv, the saying is actually a duck. Let's be fair.
A duck is, like we say, it quacks like a duck, it walks like a duck. It's just the same.
Mi nitashuka nani?
Una usishuke kabla hujanijibu. If Nyako loses, what will you advise her to do next?
She's not going to lose.
You're not sure. But you know,
I am 190. I'm 190% sure. On the data breach, she's not going to lose.
Okay. And if she does, What will you advise her?
I think we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Okay, let's
Yeah, right
wait.
now she has not lost the case.
Because
And I
I think
think it will be too early. It will be too early
strategically,
for us to start thinking. You know, one of the things that I've seen people peddling on this platform is that Safaricom is such a big organization. It cannot be sued. It cannot be taken to court. It's a big organization. These are the things that people need to stop talking about. People have taken governments to court. There is even an individual that took a whole Kenyan government to court and was paid 150 million Kenya shillings. You guys, anybody can be taken to court. As long as you have a good lawyer and you have a good basis, you are able to prove your case and you actually win. You people need to go and read high profile cases in Kenya and how they've been won. They are there. There is a justice. In as much as it's elusive in Kenya, there are things that happen. And I've told you, the thing that is going to happen with Nyako's case, the reason why it's going to be very different is almost like the way we talk about, remember when Chira died and the publicity he got? This is a case of public interest, and that is why it's going to be so important for Safaricom to be very careful how they behave moving forward.
Can I
First of
ask
all,
a question, Dana?
it's going to get a lot of publicity.
So, Diana, there is a case similar to Nyako's that was so much of high profile because it involved policemen collecting money from hawkers through their M-Pesa. And their data was leaked by some people, M-Pesa data, because of that problem. And they went to court. Actually, it's them who sued Safaricom. And actually, they lost. And they were later charged for fraud because Safaricom was able to prove that those people were committing fraud, which, as at now, the statements that JB and Pesh have show black and white that the lady has been using this money for her personal use. This is not speculation, this is fact.
Beautiful. Are you talking about the case of the Kamau and co against Safaricom that happened about them collecting bribes through M-Pesa and they were working with people, M-Pesa agents? Is it the same case?
It's Joseph Gitonga Kahanya. I don't know.
Yes, with other parties. There were other people. There were about 8 people. Now, let me tell you the reason, and thankfully you brought up this case. Listen, Safaricom did not release the data. It is the M-Pesa agents who are third parties that released the data, and the data was released to the CIDs. So I need you to understand the difference, okay?
Okay. So how do you know that these M-Pesa statements were not always obtained in the same way? I mean,
They
JB
were
and
not
Pesh
obtained in
says
that same way because JB and Pesh are saying that they have
yeah.
a court order, that they
Yes,
got
but
things
do you
from a
know that
court order.
the big issue here was Safaricom was able to prove that those people were committing fraud. That fraud was the biggest. They highlight the word fraud, and that's what Safaricom played with in court for them to win this case. So this is why I've asked you to start strategizing with her already in case she loses.
I think what
Because
you're
that's
trying to
very
push,
important.
Angeline, which I'm trying to get off you, that case of those individuals was completely different. These were policemen receiving bribes, and the bribes were verified, not just by Safaricom, because Safaricom did not report them for bribes. Okay,
But do
you need
you
to
know that
understand.
acquiring
This
money
in
under false
listen,
pretense is
listen.
a crime
Okay,
in Kenya?
listen, Angeline. That case you're talking about, actually, I know it like the back of my hands. Policemen were receiving bribes using M-Pesa agents. You understand? And these people were using their channels for M-Pesa. M-Pesa agents are third party. M-Pesa agents are not employees of Safaricom. You understand? That's the difference. And what happened with that case is that these M-Pesa agents themselves, because they did not get the cut that they were supposed to get from the police, they chose to leak this information to authorities, the CIDs, who in turn investigated this police through IPOA and found out that these people were actually receiving bribes and they were taken to court. They were not taken to court by Safaricom. They were taken to court by IPOA, the entity that actually checks on policemen and fraud in Kenya. That is what happened. Now, the people who leaked this information were the third-party M-Pesa agents who were supposed to be getting a cut. There is a complete difference. Now, on this particular issue, you need to understand that there is an individual whose M-Pesa statements are apparently were acquired through a court order which does not exist, through an investigation which is nowhere in the courts in Kenya, but these individuals actually got the statements from Safaricom. Now, the reason why Safaricom needs to answer this particular question is for two reasons. One, Safaricom will come out and say that these statements were actually gotten from our system and it was by this person, okay, and that person. That's the reason why Safaricom is being petitioned and being asked to respond within 7 days. Because if Safaricom did not give this information through a court order, Safaricom will come in public and tell people that, guys, on this matter that is in public interest, these statements were not acquired legally by the people who acquired them. And therefore, we are going to be launching our own investigation internally as required by law because of a possible data breach, and we shall come back to you. Or they will say, we as Safaricom are responsible for what is being said because we received an actual court order on this such a day, and it was granted to us and it was served on this particular day, and this statement actually came from us and it was downloaded by one of our employees. Legally, we followed the right process. That is why Safaricom is being petitioned. That
Diana,
is
may
why
I say
Safaricom is
something?
being asked.
All this process I understand already, but the policemen took Safaricom to court for data breach because their M-Pesa statements were published online on Facebook and everywhere.
Exactly, they were
So
published
it is
online,
the
but
same
Safaricom,
thing that
listen, the M-Pesa statements were published online by a third-party entity that had nothing to do with Safaricom. They were published by the M-Pesa agents that were receiving money on their behalf. It had nothing to do with an employee of Safaricom. So somebody foolish somewhere fooled them and lied to them. Hey, kimbieni kotini mwende mkashtaki Safaricom kwa sababu M-Pesa statements zenu zimetumiwa. But they did not understand what the law actually says. Yes, when you talk about data breach, Safaricom employees are obligated with the protection of your data as an employee of Safaricom.
that's very clear.
Yeah, but M-Pesa agents are not. You understand?
That is
M-Pesa agents do not have that obligation under the umbrella. M-Pesa agents are third-party entities, and the law is very clear what Safaricom says, that Safaricom will not be liable for third-party fraudulent activities. Go and read what it says.
that I
And
know,
that
that
was
I've read.
that was a fraudulent third-party activity that happened, and hence that investigation that was prompted by APOA and led these people to court and finally to jail.
Okay,
There's
okay,
a difference.
Diana. My thing is, I would like you to also think outside the box as her advisor. Start to
I'm not her
strategize.
advisor. I'm talking to people in general, okay?
Okay,
I'm
so
talking to the general public. And another thing I'd like to tell you, Safaricom has no authority whatsoever to start investigating Nyako. What they can do is simply pay attention to her data if there's a data breach, and if they feel there's something that is not making sense to them and they feel there's anything that perhaps could be fraudulent, they can actually submit that data to the investigators who will do whatever they want to do with it.
of
But
course that's the rule.
Safaricom as an entity cannot take Nyako to court for fraud. It doesn't
No,
work that way.
I
Okay?
didn't say they will take her
I'm
to
just
court
trying
for
to explain
fraud.
to you. I'm explaining to you because you people are talking about her data and that I need to tell her.
Me, I'm
I'm
talking
not.
about data breach.
Yeah, the data breach
Data
has nothing.
breach.
The data breach has nothing to do with
Yes.
fraud. It has nothing to do with fraud.
If she loses, because there was a similar case and the policeman lost,
No,
I'll just use that
That
as an example.
case is not similar. That is a completely different case. Please don't
Okay.
make them the same. They are different. I've explained
Because
to you
there
because
was a
I've
crime,
read this case. This was a case of policemen receiving bribes through proxies under
but is
M-Pesa
receiving
agents.
bribes and acquiring money under false pretense. They are both.
Listen, for
They're
you to
both
say that
crimes.
listen, for you to say she acquired money under false pretense, you have to demonstrate the
But
false
the
pretense.
statements say
You have to
clearly, black and
demonstrate,
white.
you must demonstrate the false pretense, and for you to demonstrate false pretense, you must attach that with the community-based organization.
Of course, it will be attached to that. She
No,
was saying she
you
didn't
cannot
stand for
you
her
cannot attach it
CBO.
based on feelings, my friend. You
It's not.
can't.
It's fact. She said
No,
she
no, no,
raises
no,
money
no.
because of her
Mm-mm.
CBO. That's a
Listen,
clear fact, Diana. You cannot. You
let,
cannot
let me
deny.
tell you. Let me tell you. I can come here and say that I'm a thief, okay? And then you take me to court because I said that I'm a thief. Can you prove that I'm a thief? Just
No,
because
because I
I
did
came
not
here,
see you
just
stealing, but we saw her
exactly,
raising
goody,
money.
very, very good.
We saw
I
her
can come,
raising money,
Angeline.
Diana. She was
Angeline,
raising
you saw,
money.
okay, you saw her, but can you prove that what she was raising did not
They,
actually go to the CBO?
but this bank statements, this M-Pesa statements say it's black and white, Diana.
Yeah, wow.
Angeline,
It's
Angeline,
fact.
Angeline, can I ask
Oh
you a
my
question?
God.
Yes, do.
Haki
Nyako is taking
nimechoka.
I know, right? Nyako is taking Safaricom to court because of her data breach, right?
Of course.
And you're
That I have
saying
agreed.
receiving money through false pretense is a crime, right?
Yes.
Today, if I abuse you, Angeline, then you meet me on the way. Then maybe you get physical, you assault me. Then I go to court and file a complaint to the police station, and we go to court. The case will be assault on me versus you, right? Will you go and tell the magistrate that you assaulted now? There are two cases that now I assaulted you, I abused you, so they should also listen to you on the same case. On the same case, you should file a case on
No,
your
I will
own.
also file my case.
Yeah.
Of
So what
course.
I'm saying is this. That's an example. You file your case that I abused you, and my case is for assault, right? Those are two different cases. So for this matter, Nyako has a case with Safaricom. If you want to file a case against her for obtaining money through false pretense, that is a totally different thing. So you have to prove it. How did she obtain money through false pretense? There is a CBO. If you want to audit the CBO, will you audit the CBO accounts or Nyako's accounts?
The reason why I mentioned false pretense is because I wanted to highlight to Diana that there is a crime here. As the same as the
Yeah.
policeman committed a crime by taking bribes. That was a crime. And here there is also a crime, which Safaricom could actually use. I'm not sure if she will lose or win, but I've just said, thinking outside the box, because there was a case almost similar to that. The only difference here is, like Diana said, the statements were released by third party. That could make the difference in this case, but everything else is the same. The data, the policemen sued Safaricom because their data was published online, but Safaricom later defended themselves and said these people were committing crime, they were taking bribes, and this is why their M-Pesa statements were released. So that is still a crime. And same as here with Nyako's case. She has sued Safaricom because her data was leaked. But also, if we look here, there is an activity that is not legal going on. It's still a crime. So there is a chance that she could win or she could lose. But I asked Diana to really think outside the box and start thinking, if she loses, what will be next? So it's also good to advise her from that aspect, because you tell her, you assure her, she will win, she will win, she will win. But it would be nice to also say, Nyako, if you lose, I would advise you to do this and that.
Why do you want me to
Are you
advise her?
invested in
Because
I'm
you're
not,
advising her on
I
how
am
she
not,
will win. Yeah.
I've never been Nyako's advisor, so I'm not her advisor.
You've been saying how.
Listen, let me tell you, I'm a social justice person. I speak about issues as they come. I talk to everybody. It is for general public. This is
Yes,
not for
but
an
also
individual.
advising
So
her on if she loses.
don't make it be like I'm advising her. Me, I'm talking about general stuff to everybody, the general public. Now, if she loses the case, we'll cross the bridge when we get there, right?
Okay, that's your advice. That's good.
I feel like you're really obsessed with the fact that you want to make her look like she's
No,
going
I'm not obsessed with the
to
fact.
no
I
no
always think
you're really
outside the
trying
box,
to push this.
Diana.
That is not thinking out of the
Angeline,
box.
Of course.
Angeline,
Yes.
Angeline. We are not
Yeah.
here to advise. We are here to share knowledge
That's
on.
what we are sharing knowledge
Yeah,
for.
yeah,
And
we
that's
are not
what I'm telling
sharing.
If she
you.
says, okay,
Unajua?
Nyako will share knowledge with you if
No,
she lose.
because in your statement you're saying advice sijui anga what.
Okay,
No, we are
I'll
not here to
correct that.
advise.
Share knowledge with her that if she loses, this is the route she
No,
could
we are
take.
not sharing any
Appeal
knowledge. We are not
or
sharing knowledge. We are
But
just
I thought Nani ako na lawyer. Nyako has a lawyer.
we are not
And a
sharing
lawyer can
knowledge.
advise her after she has lost the case. I'm not a
okay.
lawyer.
We are not
Mm.
sharing
Okay.
knowledge to her. We are talking as a public need a debate between ourselves. Not ati tunamsaidia, si atumsaidii mtu mwenye hiyo kesi ama tusaidii saidia kina Pesh. Tunasema kwenye kitu inaweza kuwa imefanyika ijaenda sahihi, inafaa kufanywa venye inafanywa, but you are not telling akina Pesh ama telling Nyako to follow to do like 1 2 3. Wakisikia
Yeah,
kusikiza
we are
waende
not.
nayo, it's their
Mm.
choice.
Yeah, mwenye amependa asikie afanye, mwenye hataki
Eh.
awache.
But
Yeah.
you are not picking ati tuna advise akina JB ama tuna advise Nyako, no.
I think that's where people get it wrong because a lot of
Yeah.
people think now that I'm advising her. I'm not. I'm talking about the facts of the matter as they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And sharing knowledge.
Yes.
And guys, tapuru, let's get busy. My power team, wanaitangwaje? Power tappers. Tuendele ama kupendwa raha umenyamaza, lakini napendea kupenda raha. Hata akipanda hapa kwa guest, yeye anakuanga busy kutap. Tusalimie kidogo jameni, usikakuwa umelala.
Nilale na vidole vya fanya kazi.
Anakuona. Anakuona hapa
Jambo
chini.
nyote.
Hatujambo. Uko mzima?
Ya Mungu.
Alhamdulillah. Haya, Diana, chukueni mic mpelekane na Angeline. I'm all yours.
Hapana. No, I was just, I think personally, I don't know. I think like a businesswoman because I'm a businesswoman. I always think at what next? What's my goal? If I lose, if in such a scenario, what will I do next? That's strategy. So I think it's important also if we discuss this, we can also discuss, okay, if she loses, she could do this and that because there is a chance she could win. There is 90% chance that she could win. There is also 10% chance that she could lose. If the 10% takes place, what next for her? So it's also very important. That's my take. Anyway, ladies, thank you for the platform. Thank you, Kuni, for always accepting me. Nawashukuru sana, nitashuka.
Thank you so much. Diana, na namuuliza hapo swali chini ya petition.
Aki, si nilishasema kwa live yangu, Aki, mimi nimechoka na kuongea leo. Aki, nimechoka, nasikia tu kichwa inaniuma, tu useme tu kweli. I've talked a lot.
Usiseme kichwa inauma because tumeshare, yani a good discussion was happening here. People have learned a thing or two. And thank you for everyone who came. Hata kama washa drop, I appreciate you guests. Yani, hey, information is power. Wenye mulikula school fees, shauri zenyu. Wenye tulisomea kwa dirisha na miti juu kama mimi, shauri zetu. Tupambane na hii hali.
Aki, thank you so much, KUNILISCIOUS. Asante for creating such an educative platform.
Thank you. Most
It's
welcome.
having a platform is one thing, but being impactful is another. So thank you.
Most welcome. Hapa ni kila kitu, mpaka ngono, mpaka benten, mpaka vitu zinahusu lo. Mi kwanza kwa lo. Naona mnaonanga na mute na wacha by the way guys, I learned together with you. Nikiona nikiada mama hapa na kuanga nimenyamaza huku chini. Mi kazi yangu ni kucontrol tu mic na guest wenye wanapanda na kutap. Siwezi jifanya kimbelembele ati natoa opinion. Opinion for what? And I don't know law. Mimi hata nikaanza kushtaki mtu ndaanza wapi?
Naomba Mike niambie Diana kitu.
Haya, chukua Mike.
Diana, kwa live yako ulijaribu kuuliza justify kama mwanamke, yani kunyonga kama mwanamke kwa Kiswahili inaitwaje? Niliona watu wengi wamekuandikia punyeto, lakini punyeto ni mwanamume. Mwanamke haizi piga punyeto, manake we huna mkia wa kuushika. Mwanamke unasema
Kuni, wacha nishuke hapo sasa.
Oh, thank you Donna. Thank you Donna for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Kupendwa raha, yani anyway, endelea.
ya ndio, na watu wengi ndio walikuwa sahihi kusema punyeto, lakini punyeto ni mwanaume. Mwanaume ako na kitu na hold, so anaweza kuipiga punyeto. Mwanamke mara nyingi huwa tunaita wasagaji, unasagwa ama unasaga.
Oh, wanawake kwa wanawake ni kusaga.
Mwanamke ni kusaga.
Oh, kwa sababu ile kama grinding ni kugrind kinembe, ile kushika kinembe. Okay.
Na unaweza sema mimi naenda kujisaga nilale, ama natafuta msagaji anisage. Mwanamke sana sana wewe inatumika kwa lugha hiyo.
Na je, ukisema unatafuta mwanaume akusage, unasemaje?
Mwanamume hawezi kukusaga kwa sababu mwanamume ako na mkia.
Au unasema unatafuta punyeto?
Mwanamume anajipiga punyeto, hawezi pia kupigwa, anajipiga junimi.
Kujimasturbate. Okay, nimeelewa.
Sasa kama Sally ana mislead hapa, neno kufira na mambo mengine tofauti Sally, lakini mbona mnakuaga out of class?
Kupendwa raha, hebu nitumie hizo vitu, nataka uniandikie hizo vitu vizuri ndio nini nikuwe nazo, kwa sababu sasa sielewi, ni mingi. Uniandikie kwa nini kwa inbox, unitumie. In fact nitakupigia ndio nielezee vizuri. Thank you. Hii Kiswahili itaniua haki.
Na leo sijaona ladybug.
Labda mimi akona shule. Alafu Kuni, usijifanye leo kumuona Malikia wetu.
Malikia ni nani?
Malikia wetu kumuona leo.
Who be that?
Queen.
Who be that and Diana? Ukuona vile amedamshi.
Oh, aya we, amedamshi. Are you joking? Hey. Hey, nimeona. By the way, Diana, wacha nikwambie, kuna blogger moja ni fan wa Nyako, but that lady nampenda kwa sababu you post kila mtu, like kama we you kupost sana, kwanza ukidance kama ya leo amekupost. I think she said something about congrats on your body goals. Anaitwa TikTok drama, sijui logo yake ni gani. So you looked good. Hey, leo kuna watu watanyonga na hiyo nini yako. Hey, kwanza venye ulikuwa neka miguu hivi across, alafu unapanu. Shauri yako, watu wakinyonga nawe shauri yako.
Chekesha.
Nimekwambia
drama amesema hey, is a neutral. Ategemee mtu yote. So why post Diana vizuri sana.
Oh, ako hapa. Hayuko.
Hayuko hapa, na msikia akisema yeye ako neutral, hayuko kwa timu yote, so anafanya kazi yake.
Hebu nitafutie kunilisha nione. Aya, sijaona hiyo kitu. Unajua nimekuwa tu hapa na wewe. Hebu niweke nione.
By the way ameiweka, nimeiona nikizunguka tu nikitafuta umbenye. TikTok drama.
Nikuta mahali kama nimekabwa kwa akanitetea. Imagine nilikuwa nimekabwa kwa na Google mahali kweli na mambo ya accountability.
Wacha ndio huyo nimempanga.
You see my 400 kg stomach? I'm looking really good, guys.
Wacha nitoe video.
I still have what do you call it? I have about 3 surgeries to go. 3 surgeries. I have excess skin over here. You see it? I need to take it out. And I need to make sure my breasts are up. Right now,
hadi caption yenye amekuwekea?
Yeah, at least a good bra. Because I really know the size of bra I wear for my breasts right now. So zitasimama hivi zikuwe kama. So as a social justice person, I am happy Nyako is taking Safaricom to court. Umesikia?
Unaona venye body
400
goes.
kgs.
Hey.
You see my 400 kg stomach? I'm looking really good, guys. But I still have what do you call it? I have about 3 surgeries to go. 3 surgeries. I have excess skin over here. You see it? I need to take it out. And I need to make sure my breasts are up. Right now, my breasts are in a bra. Yeah, at least a good bra. Because I really know the size of bra I wear for my breasts right now. So zitasimama hivi zikuwe kama saa 6. Mnaziona? Nirudi kwa soko. Niharibu soko kidogo. So guys, if I take Tapuru, because I want to talk about a few things
Ni
here.
body goals. You see how good you're looking. You have seen
Pendeza
yourself.
mashallah, mashallah, mtoto kitu na box,
What?
mtoto wa
Mtoto
mtoto ya watasema nini jamani? Wanalipi la kusema tena? Hamna, kimekula kwao.
Do you know, Diana, kuna watu walikuja, I think some of the comments here, they said, Diana, honestly, people have been doing you no justice by body shaming. Now it's shame on them. Because I don't think anyone even can open their mouths. Because there's somewhere, I cannot tell you where, but apparently that the person who was dissing your weight is not someone that even mnaweza simamishwa na yeye and you be on the same level. Honestly, that way ulikuja na hiyo video, shame, shame, shame. Shame on them. Nakwambia. You looked very, you are looking gorgeous. Body banging. Vavavoom.
Congratulations Diana.
Thank you guys.
Mwanamke akitaka kukua venye anataka anaweza. Hakuna time, hakuna nini. Mwanamke ndio pale tunaambiwa sisi wanawake vitimbi vyetu vinashinda hadi shetani. Yaani shetani ukachina katika lesson kwetu sisi. Mwanamke akitaka lake analitimiza. Na hiyo imedhairisha kabisa Diana, umetaka kuambia ninaweza kuwa kama ninavyotaka ama kama mnavyofikiria. Na naam, Mwenyezi Mungu amekubali, imekuwa. Mashallah, congratulations mama. Macho ya hasidi sikuone na kuvunjia vidole. Midomo mibaya isikumake kwa ubaya dadangu ukaumwa na mwili. Nimekuwekea mashallah, 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 mdomo mbaya na macho mabaya sikuone.
Amin, 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 amin.
Tax compliance.
Ebu gojeni kidogo, kuna umbenye inaingia.
And we collected a lot of data. The guy has even caused a rift between the lady and her family. He wants to be the center of stage of everything. Right now, he has a WhatsApp group majority made of women from USA and German, and we know what his intentions are. One of our members is within his circles, and we are getting each and every detail he does. I told him, it's getting messy. Why can't you guys sit down and solve anything that you feel it's wrong? Then he said, this is why we are doing this. We want to set an inquiry to settle on what killed the late. Our wisdom dictated that we start with how our money was used. Then after we get to an inquiry. We approached the guy to give us his records because they are meant to be for public consumption, but he decided to be rude. Is it possible to allow me to issue a statement through your platform later at night around 9 to 10 p.m.? Because that's the time I normally get home. I told him, you are allowed. I'm ready, send your link. And then I told him, search Peter Kiwi Live. Okay, and he said, I am on your live. Guys, I want to say this. that I am not at any interest with this case of money. I am not at any interest with Faustin. I reached Faustin myself today. I called Faustin 4 times. He never picked my call today. I called Faustin. Here he is. And I texted him. He texted me back. He said, no, he first texted him. He hung up the call and said, text me please. Then nikamuliza kaka, Peter Kioi here. Sasa ushiki simu, do you know what I'm trying to inform you? That's it. The reason I read everything here is because I never wanted him to say, you started a conversation without including me. First thing is Babatalisha. Peter Kioi stands with nobody when justice is about to be unveiled or what. I stand for the truth. And Faustin is my dearest friend. And for this matter, right now on the table, I would not side with Faustin, neither with Faustin nor this guy that is coming here. I will only stand with the truth. We will listen to both parties and we know what is happening. For me, Peter Kioi, I will own everything. For me, I will own everything that I will speak and I will stand with my words. If Faustin is found wrong, I will call out. If he's found innocent, I will apologize. And the parties involved should apologize to him. But for now, as we stand right now, I have given up a platform because this is not my platform. This is a TikTok platform. It is only under my name. So if I am not going to allow them to talk, it means that I'm being biased. So anybody that has any opinion without insults and with so much due respect should come on this platform to talk. Because the same way these people contributed on the amount on children's send-off is the same way they would question everything that is going on. So for
Wambea, my people, can someone update me? Why is Peter getting involved na mambo ya pesa za mchango za ya Chira? Anakuja na hearsay ati kuna watu wamemapproach ati they want to pursue the case. Huyu ako na knowledge gani ya kupursue kesi kwanza? There are some people planning to sue Baba Talisha. Ati mpaka wanasema ati he's getting involved too much with the family. What is their effing business? Can people mind their business? Nini hawa watu wanatafutilia? Yani sasa ati leo Peter ndio address and your the point of contact of the other party and the public. Hey, surely. Like really? Ati sasa analeta huyo mtu hapo ndio amhoji.
Wanatafuta babati kila hila, yani wanatafuta kila jambo ya kumpaka nayo matope tu. Watu washasahau hizi vitu, wanarudisha ya kazi gani?
Haya ndio huyo amepanda. Na amejaza watu 2.2.
Hello. Yes, can you hear me?
Sikieni.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, good evening to you.
Good evening to you, the Don.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me in your platform. So I'll be very much quick and I will not take as much time.
Don, how are you?
I'm fine, Peter.
I have some 2 requests to make to you.
Go ahead, please.
1.
Yes.
I believe you are not a pseudo.
For my own protection and identity, I will be honest with you, and I think I told you in the morning, I'll be using a pseudo account for so many reasons. But our names will be exposed in the demand letter that we're about to issue possibly by tomorrow or the day after tomorrow.
Give us 5 reasons that you should be a pseudo.
Hey.
One, for my own identity, for my own protection.
That's one.
Two, that's one for my own protection, because we know there are so many things that are going on, and we have evidence on what some people are trying to do, because these are very serious matter.
Guys, Kapuru.
But there are even few of your friends, like I've introduced myself to even few of your friends, I think with my personal number and stuff like that. And I've also been to TWD platform. I've introduced myself with my personal number and stuff like that. And I told them also to protect my contacts until further notice.
So allow me to ask the comment section if they are okay with you being in a pseudo. If they are not okay, I will dismiss and pull down the live.
Much obliged, bro.
So comment section. This guy is saying that he is going to come with a pseudo because of his own protection. So are you okay for him to talk his mind and speak his mind on this issue? If you are not okay with it, I will drop him and end the live. Minutes for that.
Nitaelezea Sheli. Kabla watu wa decide huko kwa Peter alikontaktiwa na watu wenye wanataka kufungulia Baba Talisha kesi na they are going to issue the demand letter, so he's like offering them the platform, and he's part of the if these accusations will be wrong, ata apologize for allowing this nonsense to happen on his platform. And he already contacted Baba Talisha to come and hear, but Baba Talisha I think alijitoa. These people, they are saying that Baba Talisha ati ni kama ametumia hiyo pesa, yani nonsense mingi mtamsikia.
Number one of the main reasons why I'm not in this alone, we are several people, some are overseas. So one of the reasons why we are doing this, our intentions is not to hate anybody. Our intentions is not to bring anybody down. We started off so well. Social media platform has really messed up with our society, especially the young generation. We are losing a lot of people through social media platform. They get a lot of pressure from social media, and then we lose them in ways that are very miserable. So I was not known to the late Chira. I was not his friend, and I never used to follow him, even on TikTok. And I'm not an active member of TikTok, and I'm not also a TikToker. So when we heard about the death of the late, and there are some friends of mine who, I'll mention countries like the USA. So we tried to follow up and see what happened, because most of us were not understanding what really happened to him. So I started getting active on TikTok. Now I talk for myself. I started getting active on TikTok by then. And the first person I could go through on TikTok was two people. I will mention Mr. Faustin. I will not call him the way people call him, because I'm also a parent. I don't want to involve the name of a little child in these social media issues. And then there's this guy called Obidandela. So I was so much interested on Obidandela when he was trying to follow up on the issue of the late Chira. I think he was really giving a live coverage of trying to investigate like what happened, where he was and stuff like that. But it got to a certain point. Personally, I did not get to understand him, because I was really waiting for the footage, and because I was following everything he was saying step by step. So when Obidan could not continue, then I went up to Mr. Faustin's page, and then I followed him because I liked him from then. He was I was catching up with the updates he was giving and everything. And when I followed up, I downloaded a lot of videos of Chira, and trust me, I really sympathized with the boy. I said, this guy lived the kind of life whereby if people were there for him, probably things could have been different. And I understand so many people tried as much as they could, but maybe things didn't go the right way. So I said, I'm gonna contribute towards this noble cause. When the M-Pesa pay bill came and people had to contribute, I was also, we were a group of people. Some are also overseas. So we made these contributions through a public platform using the platform of Mr. Faustin. So things went well, the updates, but there started to be some drama even before we could end the contribution. So a lot of people were coming up with some issues, but personally I think it was not the right time. And I said to myself and even most of my friends, like, let's try and give this guy time to finish, because handling that issue alone sometimes can be so much hectic. So we give him time to finish everything, and then we allow the late to be buried. So maybe if there are some other issues, because I saw his number on a public platform in his page. So I said, I will save the number and probably ask 1, 2, 3 questions, because personally I felt most of the things were not going right. So I engaged him first of all on WhatsApp, because there's something I thought he was not doing right. And I just did send him a friendly request on WhatsApp, just the way a brother can advise another person. But he never responded. But again, I understood that maybe he gets a lot of messages and he doesn't pay attention to all that. So there's a question about how Chira was killed and stuff like that. So I want members of the public to understand, I don't want to dwell much on how the late was killed, because I've always been very careful. I don't want to come here without any evidence. So I'm not going to dwell on his death, what caused his death and stuff like that. But we are going to put it through a public inquiry. Because why are we doing this? Because we also want the Chira's thing to be put to rest. Let us allow his soul to rest in peace after him getting justice. So there's a reason why we are starting with the money. And after the money, it will lead us now to the next thing. And we are doing these things systematically. And we believe we are doing the right thing. So many people had questions about the money thing. I listened to so many people complaining, and I kept on getting a lot of notification on TikTok and stuff like that. So I took it upon myself to call Mr. Faustin. I called his number. I called many times. He wasn't picking. I reached to Obidan. Then I told Obidan, I'm trying to get Faustin. Is it possible for him to pick my call? So he advised me, keep on trying, because there's something that I was also trying to plan with Obidan and advise him on what to do, probably in remembrance of the late Chira. So the guy never picked my call, but again, I understood. I said, maybe, once maybe someone is a public figure, it can be difficult to pick any other call that he doesn't know. So there's a time I called again, and then he texted me. He did send me an SMS like, please text. I was so happy. I said, wow, at least now he has acknowledged. So I did text, because I'd asked him, like, is it possible if he can share with me the receipts? Because in his live, I heard him mention the issues of the receipts. And then I was trying to follow him on the issue of the accountability. And trust me, Peter, it was not easy to understand Faustin with the kind of presentation he was making. And I'm sorry to say this, I'm not being disrespectful in any way. Yeah. Can I pause?
1 minute. Every person in this comment section matters. Every comment matters. No muting of comments. If anybody bring disruptions, block them. But do not mute comments, because everybody is important. Thank you. Continue.
Thank you. So, I was following, he had to come, there's a time he came on live to explain how everything happened, but trust me, Faustin did make a poor presentation, because the figures he was showing, I have downloaded a lot of videos to understand him better, but it was very much impossible. So what did I do? I took it upon myself to ask him, Is it possible to share those receipts? Because I believe the contribution was public and any member of the public who contributed has a right to that information. So I told him, is it possible for you to share those receipts like with me? Because we can balance and maybe help you and tell people, no, whatever you people are accusing this guy of is not true. So the kind of response he gave me subjected him to a public opinion, and a very negative one, in fact. I never thought he could respond to me like that, no, because, you know, he didn't know me, we didn't know each other. And I said, okay, then there's something that is not adding up. I went on in another platform and advised him, is it possible for him to put the receipts, the bank statements, the M-Pesa statements? He can just take these things and put them in one of his social media platforms so that we, like I, a member of the public who contributed towards this noble cause, can go ahead, download all these informations, and then we do our own tally and find out if what people are saying is true or not. Because Mr. Kioi, a lot of you people contradicted yourselves. So we took upon ourselves to find out what was going on because we were not getting appropriate answers from you. And one of the things that you people did, we understood that there was a committee. The committee did not take us through proper steps for us to understand how the budget was supposed to be. And once again, I'm not here to ask for accountability of a huge personal contribution that every member of the public knows. So when I played all those videos and after understanding that no one from the committee was helping members of the public to understand or to give instructions or to give a statement on how our money was used. So we decided to go to Faustin and try to get those receipts. Okay, so when he couldn't respond, then we said there are legal ways of getting these documents because if he has them, they do not belong to him. They are not his personal properties. So we shall get them through legal means. One, we first write him a demand letter. If he doesn't respond to the demand letter, then we'll be forced to take the matter to court. And I even said, I pray we don't get to that extent because most of us have means to do that. And his acts in the public subjected him again to a very negative public opinion. Then we said, we formed a WhatsApp group with the people who are so concerned. A lot of people texted and gave out their numbers. Then you said, that has been so much civil. Let us try and get these documents through legal means. And then after we are done with the accountability part, now we'll touch the most sensible part on what killed the late. If he had an accident, well and good. If he was killed, someone has to pay. But once again, I do not have evidence on what happened to him. I've only heard from very many people, this happened to him, this happened to him, but I don't want to dwell on that. So we started our own investigations. And I approached there's a document that I have. I got it from one of you people who are in the committee. And it is not you, Peter. I will not disclose the name of that person. One of you people who was in that committee. So we passed through that document. That document made us now to start further investigations because we could not get attention of Mr. Faustin. And I will say this in Kiswahili, akuna kiburi sana.
Pause. One thing that is not lied and not in my heart is lies when it comes to public information. The person who gave you the document is called Chicha. Thank you. Let's continue.
Diana,
Peter, you see when someone gives you a document that is very much sensitive and that person does not want his name to be disclosed, sometimes I respect that. That's why even in...
Guys, hata wabla tuendelee kusikiza hizo mafogodhari the inside job. Hawa watu, they chose to keep quiet and now they looked for another party to now come and echo because tulikuwa tunawashambulia juu kwa juu. Tukiwaita njaa, tamaa, wanafuatilia pesa. Sasa wameenda, wakafuatilia mtu, atakuja na kizungu kubwa mzito, kuitisha accountability. Sasa hapa wameendea mtu wrong number mwenye hana siri. Peter amesema nini? Chicha ndio alipeana documents juu ya accountability.
He said, okay, some things are not adding up. We kept on pushing, we kept on pushing. Mr. Faustin himself, we've downloaded almost close to 150 videos of him from TikTok. He has contradicted himself. I wish he can go back, or I can send him all those videos. The guy has contradicted himself so many times. Anyone can sue him with his own words alone. He says this, tomorrow he says this. He says this, and he forgets what he said. And one thing that he doesn't know is that social media or the internet never forgets. Whatever you said can be downloaded, and it can be used against you. So his words alone made people like us not to trust what he was saying. Another thing, his body language when he was trying to explain most of the things. So we said we are going to get these informations legally. So we sat with our lawyers to see how we can act on it. But in the course of our meetings, we've been getting several informations. This happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. So how do we back up these informations to be true? Because it is only one person who can come and help us on the matters of accountability, so that we put this issue to rest, so that we can go to another issue. We put it to rest so that we can allow the late to rest in peace, and also the family to have some peace. One thing Mr. Faustin lied to the public. He was not appointed. According to the informations that we have, he was not appointed to the grandmother of the late to stand up for to represent the family in probably taking care of making arrangements and stuff like that. I don't say it's a bad thing. It's a good thing, and I congratulate him. He really tried. I'm not here to blame him that he didn't do anything. He really tried. He did a good job. But in the course of doing that good job, he messed around. There are people who are close to him, even some around his circle. I will not even now mention their names. They're very much close to him. They even get informations from him, and then they send them to us. Most of these people are in the United States. So I want to tell Mr. Faustin this, and also you, Peter Kioi, and the rest. I will not blame you, Peter Kioi. I will not blame the other people in the committee, because I had several versions, like what happened, and when it comes to money, it was a one-man show. So that is why Mr. Faustin has to be accountable for each and every cent that was spent. The best thing he can do, that he was told, yes, you are saying you are clean, you are saying you did your best to make sure the burial was a success, you are saying you gathered all these vendors and organized everything, and you told us even yourself, if I can quote you yourself, that you said in Kiswahili, mimi nililisanya vendors wote na nikalipa pesa yote na kila risiti iko nitakuja kuwapatia. So why is it difficult for you to bring these documents to a public scrutiny? Because we are asking. Because when these monies will be contributed, you are so polite, talking to people in a polite way. But when it comes to the accountability part, you are not being polite to us. But now, instead, you are being rude, as if this money was yours. We have an information that about the issue ya kujengea the late grandmother Tuchira a house. We know what is happening. There are people, and I can confirm that there are people who came on board. That's the information we got from the family side, and I will not mention that person now. The information that we got, there are some people who came on board and then sacrificed and said, when you people will be ready to build a house, when you've identified a land, come to us with a plan. You can come to us with a plan of the house that you want, then we can build for you a house on pro bono, like a contractor not charging a service fee. You only provide materials, then the lady can have the house. But we understand the person in charge of this project refused. So we don't understand why a quick decision was made, because he already made a decision. And I'm not saying I'm not lying, because these are his words in his social media platform, especially here on TikTok. He said, and I quote, nataka mjue, tunaenda kununulia shosho nyumba. Sasa nyinyi watu mkae na makikao zenyu huko mkisema vitu zenyu, but tunaenda kununua nyumba kwa sababu kujenga nyumba italeta maneno mingi. Peter, this money does not belong to Faustin himself. We contributed this money to help the family. It's not a bad idea to buy the house. I'm not contradicting that. But this is my suggestion, or this is what I thought you people could have even done. And I want to say that you people also failed in a certain way because you were supposed to do some things the right way, but you let it slip. I don't understand why you people allowed such issues to slip like that. When it comes to buying a house or building a house to the grandmother of the late, what was so wrong with you people just coming up with a committee and then discuss? Because once the committee is there, you are representing the members of the public. Peter, once the committee is there, you are representing me and the rest. So whatever issues, whatever decisions you people discuss, because you see, it will not be a one-man thing. So whatever issue you people discuss in that committee, you only come to brief us. You see? Because you see, many people contributed towards this noble cause. So there's no way like you can have 2,000, 5,000 people in a committee. There has to be people there to represent us. You only come to brief us. Okay, there was an issue to buy the lady a house. We went there. We thought that house is expensive. So we have another idea. We are working on it. So step by step, step by step. But to the extent whereby someone comes to us and makes a decision and says that we are going to do this, and then you say it arrogantly, as if that, I think what he did, the guy has shown us contempt on my personal contribution also as a member of the public. And I've heard so many people say something like this, kwani huyu alichanga pesa ngapi arogeshewe? You see, if I want to subject you to refund my money, you will refund my money with interest. But most of us do not want to go through that step. We just want to make sure whatever that was contributed ends up doing the right thing. Whatever that was contributed was used the right way. Once again, and I repeat this, no one here is meant to hate the other person. And that's why I'm addressing him as Mr. Faustin, but not the normal name that people use to address him, like Baba somebody and stuff like that. So why are we saying this? Because the guy hataki kusikia maneno, ako na kiburi, because we've watched a lot of his lives, the way people ask him questions and the way he refunds. You see, even if someone contributed 1 shilling towards that noble cause, that person has to be respected. That is what that person could manage. So, wengine wanatoa shilingi 200, wengine wanatoa 850, na wewe kwa na shilingi 100 yako utatuambia nini? You see, that's contempt. It's not allowed. So, we believe so many things he has done. He has also subjected the family, according to me, and that's my own personal opinion, especially the grandmother to the late. He has subjected the lady to a public negative opinion, you see? And I don't want to dwell much on it out of the respect I have for the elderly people. So, one member in our committee said, Chira never had a parent, Chira never had a mom, Chira never had a dad, Chira never had a sister, Chira never had a brother. He lacked parental love, he lacked motherly love, fatherly love, brotherly love, and sisterhood love. So, there's nobody who is standing up for him. I want to go back a little bit, Mr. Peter Kioi. And again, I don't have facts for this, but I'm just using this as an example. Let's talk about his death just for a minute. You see, when you tell us someone got an accident, for example, let's say we are friends and we know each other, and God forbid, someone comes and tell me, Peter Q got an accident, and someone else says Peter Q was killed. As your friend, I'll be so much interested to investigate and know what happened. But this never happened. Because most of people who are coming, you see, when someone comes with a question, do not dismiss that person. Listen to that person, try and reason with that person, and work together to find.
Wamehang.